What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 12 PB Chapter 263. There is no foreshadowing and preview, Qing Yu's spoilers on the spot, subscription required. Advertisement. After hearing this, on this side, Jiraiya's pupils suddenly shrank, and a chill rose behind him. Before you know it, even the hairs on his body couldn't help standing upside down. What the hell is it? Looking at the expression and tone of Qing Yu in front of you, it definitely doesn't look like some kind of joke. Even more, he seems to have mentioned this name unintentionally. In other words, probably what he said is the truth. But, how can this be? According to the information I received before, Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan should have all died in the civil war of Rain Shinobi. Actually not dead. And, even more incredible, not only is he not dead, but Nagato is still the leader of Akatsuki's organization now? That Akatsuki who became the #1 mercenary organization in the ninja world by the outside world. Thinking here, even Jiraiya, who had tried his best to keep calm before, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of horror in his heart. The heavy mood and complicated thoughts are mixed together, making it difficult for his breathing to stabilize. Until a moment later, he slowly raised his eyes again, stared at Qing Yu in a complicated manner, and spoke as calmly as possible. You mean, the leader of Akatsuki's organization is Nagato? He is the founder of Akatsuki? Jiraiya asked with a weird expression. To be honest, of course he can't believe it. Nagato, the gentle and introverted boy back then, will suddenly become the head of a large terrorist organization. This kind of reversal is completely like a fantasy. Therefore, he was keenly aware that something was definitely going on. And at the moment, sure enough, after hearing this, Qing Yu on the opposite side shook his head and said, "Well, it's not. The person who first founded the Akatsuki organization that year seems to be called Yahiko, who should be a good friend of Nagato." As soon as Qing Yu's dull voice fell, he once again threw a boulder into Jiraiya's heart. The waves were rough. His breathing remained stagnant, and his face froze slightly. Another familiar name. Yahiko, one of the 3 disciples back then. At the same time, it is also the oldest brother-like existence of the 3. Did not expect he was the person who started the Li Shao organization. This young Ishin who admires my concept of peace, would actually create dawn. Jiraiya's eyes gleamed slightly, and the thoughts in her heart became more complicated. But something is wrong, since it was Yahiko who founded Akatsuki. Why is Akatsuki's leader now as Nagato? Could it be that? Has he encountered some kind of accident? Jiraiya looked at Qing Yu and cautiously said. That founder Yahiko, what happened? Qing Yu nodded and replied without thinking, died. In the civil war of Rain Shinobi, he was killed by a trap set by Hanzo of the Salamander, the former leader of Rain Shinobi. Jiraiya's eyes trembled suddenly, and her heart tightened. Immediately, he lowered his eyes and showed a bitter smile. Sure enough, in such a chaotic world of ninja, a child like Yahiko was eventually swallowed by the darkness of ninja. Jiraiya sighed without a trace. It seems that in this moment, I have returned to the pain when I heard that information a few years ago. Obviously all Ishin's children yearning for love and peace. Advertisement, but at the end, affected by the ruthlessness of ninja. It seems that it was the death of Yahiko that caused Nagato to become the leader of the Akatsuki organization? It is also because of his death that I received the information. After a long silence, Jiraiya suddenly put down the pen and notebook in his hand, then raised his eyes and looked at Qing Yu in front of him, bitterly and complicatedly. What about Konan? Besides Nagato and Konan, there should be a girl named Konan, right? Is she alive now? Jiraiya asked softly. His tone is no longer as full of air as before. There is no element of acting. Obviously, this kind of subtle and hoarse remarks revealed his truest emotions. At this moment, he also briefly let go of his investigation purpose. But incarnate as an ordinary teacher, hearing this. Qing Yu's eyes moved slightly, but quickly calmed down. Subsequently, he nodded, still unchanged face, Now she is still in the Akatsuki organization, and, at the same time, as the dean of Rain Shinobi's ninja school, teaching Rain Shinobi's children. You can probably notice that there are various angel-like pendants hanging under various houses on the streets of Rain Shinobi. The angel was referring to her. Qing Yu's voice is not rushed. When Jiraiya heard this, he was once again unconsciously stunned. 3 disciples, after many years has there been so many different changes? Even that very shy girl Konan is now an angel worthy of her trust. Thought of here, this moment, there was a rare slight smile on Jiraiya's face. It's like self-deprecating, but also like it's comforting. It's hard to figure out, however, what he didn't know was. Now, the picture in this private room has long been seen by Nagato and Konan on a building in the distance. And, through Qing Yu's special ability, 2 of them. I can clearly hear every conversation between the 2 here. Obviously, this is Qing Yu deliberately, and at the moment. After hearing this, Nagato and Konan rarely fell into a long silence, silent. Their eyes were drooping, and they didn't know what they were thinking. In fact, when in the beginning, when they heard what Qing Yu said, they immediately understood. Qing Yu seems to be trying to completely separate Akatsuki from the forces of Uchiha Obito through a dialogue with Jiraiya. Because of this, it is said that the looting tail or Juka incident was planned by Akatsuki's inner ghost. However, this is also true, it was indeed the masked man Uchiha Obito who proposed the Tail Beast collection plan. And, not long ago, they did just transfer all the tail beasts Jinchuriki in Rain Shinobi village. Saying that it was planned by his inner ghost, there was nothing wrong with it. However, immediately after, they never thought in the following dialogue, Qing Yu actually directly stated the identity of his Xiao's leader. There is no foreshadowing or notice, spoilers on the spot. This step, let alone Jiraiya over there, even Nagato himself was a little confused. Konan on the side was also startled, completely dumbfounded. But, advertisement haven't waited for them to think carefully. They immediately received the Ryatsu sound transmission from Qing Yu. Even though they didn't know how Qing Yu achieved this sound transmission, they had already become accustomed to it. And in the sound transmission, they gradually understood Qing Yu's good intentions. Then, he chose to continue listening quietly, until this moment. And now, after listening to what Jiraiya said just now, they couldn't help but get complicated. About this teacher, the emotions in their hearts are indeed too complicated. To say kindness, of course there is, and it is also an absolute great favor. After all, if there were no Jiraiya, they would not have survived smoothly. Similarly, it is impossible to learn so much ninjutsu and grow up with the ability to protect yourself. However, soon after they grew up, the mentor who had taken in the three of them at the beginning, but suddenly left them. Coupled with the Yahiko tragedy, they almost don't want to admit the teacher anymore. After all, how can a teacher be so indifferent to the life and death of his disciples? If he hadn't left the three of them in the first place, perhaps Yahiko would not have died because of it. All these tragedies may not happen therefore, in their hearts. Only for Jiraiya's departure is unforgivable, just when the eyes of the two are complicated. This side, in the private room, after being silent for a while, Jiraiya suddenly picked up the jug and glass on the table and poured a glass on his own. Afterwards, he drank in silence. A slight sigh came from his throat, not only because of alcohol, but also because of too much sadness in his thoughts. After a while, he just put down the wineglass, looking ahead. Qing Yu has a complex expression. Can you let me meet them? Qing Yu sang. Since you know them so well, you probably know, I used to be their teacher? Jiraiya said softly. As soon as the voice fell, the opposite Qing Yu just raised his eyebrows and said indifferently. I've heard of it, but, in their eyes, you don't seem to be a good teacher. In such troubled times, I saved them, but left them behind and left alone. As soon as this word came out, Jiraiya was taken aback for a moment, and then a bitter smile appeared on his face. After shook his head slowly, he suddenly sighed, his eyes faintly looked into the distance, like a dream-eat one. Jiao Jiao, softly said. Oh, I'm ashamed. At the beginning, I didn't want to bring them back to Konoha village and cultivate them carefully. But when I trained them for a few years, I found out. In the depths of their hearts, they still can't let go of their national hatred against Konoha. At this point, it is destined that they will not be able to integrate into Konoha village. But I am Konoha's ninja. If things go on in the long run, there may be a rupture or even antagonism between our masters and apprentices. Therefore, all I can do is teach them how to survive in troubled times. I may be the teacher they rely on most, but it is impossible to accompany them forever. Because, I'm still Jiraiya from Konoha. Leaving them is the last thing I can do for them as a teacher. Jiraiya's eyes were complicated, and she spoke slowly and hoarsely about her husband. And at the moment, after listening to these words in the distance, Nagato and Konan. But completely stunned. Breathing stagnation. Chapter 264 Is This His True Strength? Seeking subscription. Advertisement. The silence went on silently, after Qing Yu listened. Suddenly he raised his eyebrows, and a faint smile flickered in his eyes. Immediately, he suddenly stood up from the futon. See this, Jiraiya on the opposite side was taken aback for a moment. What's the situation? However, before he thought about it or asked about the situation, he saw Qing Yu who was opposite and looked over with a smile, and said. Your answer was beyond my expectation, so, I can help you and call them over. About Akatsuki, please ask them yourself, please wait a moment. The voice fell, Jiraiya's eyelids suddenly twitched, and she couldn't help but stop. Of course he didn't expect I would see Akatsuki's leader so quickly, or my disciple back then. However, before he could react, I saw Qing Yu in front of me, suddenly turned into an afterimage and disappeared in front of my eyes. At this weird speed, there is no time to react. Even his chakra breath can't be felt at all. Is this his true strength? Jiraiya's pupils shrank slightly, shocked. Although before coming, he has heard Hitaki Kakashi and Uzumaki Naruto mention the power of the golden pupil rain shinobi. But when this amazing speed appeared in front of him, it still surprised him. There is no knot mark or the breath of chakra. It can be seen that this is not body flicker technique or time and space ninjutsu, but pure ultra high-speed movement. From this point alone, Jiraiya has never seen such a fast existence. Based on this alone, it is enough to show that his strength is high. Jiraiya's face condensed slightly, then he raised the flask on the table and let out a sigh of relief, trying to calm himself down. After all, this time he still has a mission. No matter how much shock and confusion he may have in his mind, he will eventually find a way to figure out the truth of Akatsuki and Ren 090 Zuli capture. If you can figure out the identity of the so-called inner ghost, and the location of San Shinobi's Gara, of course it would be better. Just as Jiraiya over there was waiting. This side, Qing Yu, who had left Shunpo, soon came to an iron building beside Nagato and Konan. The moment he appeared, Nagato and Konan moved in their hearts at the same time and their eyes flickered. However this time, they did not speak as usual, instead, he remained silent. Obviously, it was Jiraiya's words just now that touched their minds. As a result, their long-held views began to waver. Of course, this was naturally within Qing Yu's expectation. After all, it was just that he deliberately led Jiraiya to say those words. Otherwise, he would not deliberately mention Jiraiya's departure that year. To know, a big reason why Nagato and Konan cannot forgive Jiraiya is because of his departure. To be honest, after spending so many years in the Akatsuki organization. For Qing Yu, Konan and Nagato feel a little friend. Therefore, although he does not like the existence of fetters, it is understandable to occasionally help a friend. What's more, unraveling the knot between the master and apprentice is also more conducive to the development of future plans. After all, in Qing Yu's plan, Jiraiya is also a relatively important piece. Seeing the two were silent, after a while, Qing Yu took the initiative to speak, breaking the silence. As you just heard, ADVERTISEMENT, the next plan requires the two of you to appear in person. Qing Yu said with a smile. In fact, just before the beginning of his dialogue with Jiraiya, he had already used Ryatsu, ACEG, to inform both Nagato and Konan of his plan. So now, he didn't explain anything and was straight to the point. Sure enough, after the voice came out, in the eyes of both Konan and Nagato, a clear look suddenly appeared. After a while, Nagato raised his gaze and looked at Qing Yu. Leave it to us, Qing Yu sang. The voice fell, he stopped talking and walked forward. Konan looked at Qing Yu deeply and followed Nagato. No doubt, of course the two of them are now going to talk to Jiraiya. Watching the departure of the two, a leisurely smile appeared on Qing Yu's face. Thus, if not unexpected, Jiraiya will surely believe the words of his two disciples, and learn about the existence of the Uchiha leader, who is behind the capture of the tailed beast Jinchuriki. Thus, began to guide the goal of the entire ninja world. And the dawn of whitewashing plan should also be initially achieved. Since then, Akatsuki will slowly return to the organization that brought the dawn of peace to the world of shinobi. Thought of here, Qing Yu couldn't help feeling sigh in his heart, his eyes sighed. Thinking back to the beginning, when Yahiko and others first established Akatsuki, they hoped to implement Jiraiya's view of peace, and wanted to build a peaceful world in which everyone understands each other through people-to-people communication. Unexpectedly, Akatsuki was killed because of Uchiha Obito's project Tsuki no Mi, and the plans of conspirators such as Hanzo and Danzo. Therefore, there is a new dawn dedicated to the cause of terrorism later. And now, under Qing Yu's continuous efforts, Uchiha Obito, the man behind the Black Hand mask who manipulated everything, was kicked out, and Nagato, who focused on nuclear deterrence, finally began to realize the complexity of peace. Akatsuki finally returned to the original pure state. After letting out a breath, a gratified smile appeared on Qing Yu's face. The next day, the Far East, the land of fire in Konohagakure. Now, beside a clear stream, a blonde, thorny teenager was constantly practicing a certain ninjutsu. It is Konoha's nine tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. However, just after he had just practiced a move, suddenly, from behind him, a gentle female voice came. Compared to 3 years ago, it really has made a lot of progress, Naruto. Heard that, Naruto was taken aback for a moment, then turned his head and looked over. After seeing it clearly, a surprised look immediately appeared on his face, and he subconsciously spoke. Mother Tsunade. That's right. The visitor is naturally the Tsunade of the current 5th Hokage in Konoha village. But at the moment, Shizune did not follow her, she came alone. And at the moment, what's different is that Tsunade's brows were frowning slightly. Although he said those words with a smile, there always seemed to be a heavy melancholy on his face. This cannot be concealed, but for this, naturally, Naruto didn't find it. He just scratched his head and curiously said, "What's going on? Mother Tsunade should be very busy as Hokage, why is she still free to come here?" The voice fell, "Tsunade has also come here." Immediately, she slowly sat on the boulder beside her, her eyes flickering, and she whispered. "Jiraiya has been there for 5 days, deliver?" The sudden words of Tsunade made Naruto stunned. Unexpectedly, she would actually start with this advertisement, and the tone is completely different from usual. After thinking for a while, Naruto also showed a deliberate expression and nodded. "Yeah, that's true. Pervy Sage said clearly that he would be back in 5 days. It seems that there is no news yet." Halfway through, suddenly, Naruto seemed to realize something, looked at Tsunade, and said in surprise. Wait. Mother-in-law Tsunade is here, is she worrying about him? To Naruto's surprise, this time, Tsunade didn't mean to be joking. Instead, he nodded slightly and made a small sound. As soon as the voice fell, it was Naruto's turn to be stunned. He has never seen it, this grumpy Tsunade mother-in-law will show such a worried and melancholy expression. What happened? Could it be said that Rain Shinobi village is really dangerous to that point? However, when he was silent, Tsunade here suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky, showing a helpless smile, and said softly. Before leaving this time, he also deliberately made a bet with me, wanting me to bet he would die. What a fool. Obviously he knows that I will lose every bet. So, I will definitely come back. Tsunade looked up at the sky and spoke softly. Eat like a dream. And at this time, her face also showed an expression that had never been seen before. This moment, Naruto had a sudden heartache and finally understood. The reason why Tsunade came here, it was because of worrying about Jiraiya's safety. But, as Hokage, she can't show this weakness in front of others. Therefore, she deliberately slipped out alone and asked Naruto to say this. Thought of here, Naruto's heart moved slightly. I want to try to find something to comfort Tsunade. But, do not know why, he suddenly couldn't find any reason to comfort him. Seems to be in the dark, there is indeed a certain danger, threatening Jiraiya's life. Naruto, who had always been extremely confident, couldn't help being silent. The sunset is gradually falling, dyeing the sky into a red color. The earth also emits a dim light. The two by the river remained silent. The shadow was slowly stretched. The dignified atmosphere in my heart began to sink deeper and deeper. However, at this time, suddenly, from a distance, a footstep sounded slowly. Immediately after, a very familiar voice suddenly sounded in the distance. Yo, what happened? Are you waiting for me to come back? As soon as the voice fell, the pupils of Tsunade and Naruto shrank suddenly, shaking suddenly. Next moment, the two quickly turned their heads almost at the same time and looked forward. And at the moment, I saw the sunset ahead. A figure of a white-haired ninja was slowly pacing towards this side. On his forehead is a ninja forehead protector with the word, oil, inscribed. There was an iconic smile on his face. This moment, Naruto and Tsunade were happy at the same time, and the frozen expression on their faces melted instantly, turning into immense joy. The next moment, at the same time, I yelled out. Pervy Sage. Jiraiya. Chapter 265 Behind the Scenes, is Konan his fallen hero, seeking subscription? Advertisement need shouts, suddenly sounded by the riverside at dusk. It even stunned the birds in the grass and trees on the side. Under the dim sun, the flock of black birds drifted away. And in the distance, Jiraiya walked towards this side, while a helpless smile appeared on his face, and said loudly. Ha ha ha, even if I go a little longer, you don't have to worry so much, right? Jiraiya limped this way, and said with a smile. At this time, Tsunade was overjoyed in his heart, and there was an expression of excitement that could not be concealed on his face. Jiraiya actually came back, not an illusion, as he promised before. On the 5th day, he came back on time. Thought of here, Tsunade's heart hung tightly, and finally began to let go. In fact, when Jiraiya decided to set out to explore Rain Shinobi for himself, Tsunade had a moment of worry in his heart. After all, there's Rain Shinobi Village, which is most likely the base of Akatsuki. According to the information from the outside world, Akatsuki's members seem to have the strength above the S-rank Renminbi. If they really get serious, they can deal with Jiraiya together. Even he may not be able to return easily, not to mention the results of the investigation. Therefore, at that time, Tsunade opposed Jiraiya's visit in person. But to no avail but, well, fortunately now, he came back safely. Tsunade exhaled without a trace. On the side, Naruto's eyes lit up and quickly ran to Jiraiya on the opposite side. But at this moment, Jiraiya over there suddenly looked at Tsunade and said while pacing and smiling. It seems that this time the gambling game, as always, you lost, Tsunade. Jiraiya said with a smile. Heard that, Tsunade was taken aback for a moment, and then suddenly a faint smile appeared on his face. Of course he knows what Jiraiya refers to as a gambling game. But immediately after, her face immediately tightened again and suddenly became serious. Immediately after he cleared his throat after coughing, he lowered his voice and said. Jiraiya, don't talk about it yet. Since you have returned so smoothly, have you already obtained the target information? Tsunade asked seriously, now that the safety of Jiraiya is confirmed. Of course she started to return to her identity as 5th Hokage. And to this, of course, the opposite Jiraiya was not surprised, and immediately put away the smile on his face, then nodded and said. Let's go. Go find a suitable place to tell you. Good. After a while, the two returned to Hokage's office. The moment Jiraiya sat down, Jiraiya didn't make any bends, and opened the door. The base of Akatsuki is indeed in Rain Shinobi Village. Also, I control the entire Rain Shinobi. As soon as the words fell, Tsunade's face suddenly shook, then his eyes condensed and his heart sank. Didn't you expect that Jiraiya's previous guess was completely correct? The #1 terrorist organization in the ninja world actually lurks in the closed Rain Shinobi Village. Moreover, he controls the entire Rain Shinobi. This is difficult. After all, if you only deal with an organization, you can still act secretly. However, if you want to deal with a ninja village, this is no less than provoking a new ninja war. It can be said, when Akatsuki takes control of Rain Shinobi, the situation is completely different. Advertisement. Tsunade's heart pondered, his face also became difficult to look at. And at this time, when the opposite Jiraiya saw her being so serious, she was taken aback, and immediately raised her hand helplessly, shaking and smiling bitterly. Forget it, I won't sell it to you anymore. Things are not as bad as you think. Hearing this, Tsunade was naturally taken aback. The terrorist organization Akatsuki has taken control of a Shinobu village, isn't that bad enough? However, I haven't waited for him to think carefully. I saw Jiraiya staring at this side, and said in a low voice with a serious face. In fact, this time, the results of my investigation are completely contrary to our two expectations. First, although the control of Rain Shinobi Village is in the hands of an organization named Akatsuki. However, the civilians and ninjas there are living a peaceful life that they have never had before. The scene of prosperity is completely gone from the gloom of the reign of Hanzo of the Salamander. Also, for the people there, Akatsuki's leader is their dawn and god, and their hope and support for survival. Jiraiya spoke slowly, earnestly, without a hint of joking surprise. However, the more I listened, Tsunade's heart became more confused. What's going on? Rain Shinobi Village, which has always been a land of war, has become prosperous and peaceful under the control of the terrorist organization Akatsuki? What is wrong with this? Tsunade's beautiful eyes glared slightly, with some unbelievable meaning. At this time, Jiraiya suddenly chuckled, looked at Tsunade, and said with a smile. I don't know if you remember, more than 10 years ago, we met 3 orphans from Rain Shinobi Village on the battlefield of Rain Shinobi Village. As soon as the voice fell, Tsunade's gaze moved for an instant, then he nodded subconsciously and said. Remember, the Orochimaru guy still wanted to kill them. But I was stopped by you, and you stayed there on purpose and led them to practice ninjutsu. No, why are you suddenly saying this? Tsunade looked confused. Of course she didn't understand how Jiraiya's topic suddenly turned here. However, Jiraiya still had the same expression, but still with a helpless smile, saying. Maybe we can't even think of that. The 3 children I took in back then are the leaders of the current Akatsuki organization and rule the existence of Rain Shinobi Village. Similarly, it is also regarded by the residents of Rain Shinobi as beings of gods and angels. As soon as Jiraiya's voice fell, Tsunade's pupils shook and suddenly shrank. Immediately afterwards, his face changed drastically and he froze. What? The 3 orphans saved by Jiraiya unexpectedly, it is the leader of Akatsuki, the largest terrorist organization in the entire ninja world now. This, in an instant, Tsunade's thoughts were almost completely interrupted. This moment, she suddenly understood, why did Jiraiya suddenly mention those children back then? However, not waiting for her to think carefully. I saw Jiraiya on the opposite side continue to speak with a serious expression on his face. But, that said, this is not the most shocking part of this investigation. What shocked me even more was the man behind the tail beast plunder incident in the name of Akatsuki. Hearing this, Tsunade's heart slammed again and subconsciously repeated. Using Akatsuki's name behind the scenes? So the organization that really targeted the tail beast Jinchuriki is not Akatsuki, but the mysterious behind the scenes? Tsunade said in surprise. The development of this situation has completely exceeded her expectations. Original, catching the tailed beast Jinchuriki, is there someone else? And the Akatsuki organization of Rain Shinobi Village, is it just being used as a shield? Zero look for flowers. Advertisement. Thinking of this, Tsunade's heart suddenly became heavier. It seems the real situation. Far more complicated than they thought and at the moment. Upon hearing Tsunade's words, Jiraiya nodded solemnly. That's right. These contents are all information that he can already confirm. Tsunade lowered his voice and asked, who is it? Who is behind all these conspiracy plans? The voice fell. Jiraiya did not answer directly, but slowly tactically leaned back, and then looked in a direction out of the distant window. There, it was the direction of the mansion of Konoha's Uchiha clan. Seeing this, Tsunade's heart was suddenly shocked. She has vaguely realized something and then, sure enough. I saw Jiraiya speak lowly. That person, it's an existence that was overlooked by us. Because he was judged to have died on the battlefield many years ago, and he even became Konoha's lie. And his name is Uchiha Obito. The voice fell. Tsunade's face suddenly changed, and her breathing became frozen unconsciously. 0.0 This, what? How is this possible? In the name of Akatsuki, the master behind the pillage of the tail beasts turned out to be the fallen martyr of Konoha village? Break. Tsunade involuntarily took a breath. The truth. Far more cruel than he thought. To know, although she is not familiar with that Uchiha Obito. But there is no doubt that he knows his existence. Because just that year, he was one of Namikaze Minato's 3 disciples, and at the same time, he was also a good friend of Hitaki Kakashi. But unfortunately died in the battlefield of the Third Ninja War. Therefore, after the war, he was chased as one of Konoha's martyr heroes. It's all the history that Tsunade is familiar with. But what is going on? Why does such a dead person appear as the man behind the scenes? Tsunade looked at Jiraiya, his eyes confused. For Jiraiya. Of course she believed it unconditionally. Although Jiraiya usually looks very careless in character, he is always the most trustworthy person at critical moments. Faced with such a big deal, she certainly did not believe that Jiraiya would fabricate it out of thin air. Therefore, among them, there is definitely something strange. And at this moment, of course Jiraiya also saw Tsunade's confusion. However, his expression did not change, but his expression was still solemn, and he said slowly and lowly. Maybe you want to ask too, why did Uchiha Obito, a person from the past, suddenly change and become the black hand behind everything? Obviously he is already dead, right? Speaking of this, Jiraiya paused, as if recalling something, slowly said. But in fact, perhaps what few people know is, after the war ended that year, Uchiha Obito's body has not been found. This as soon as Jiraiya's voice fell, suddenly, Tsunade was dumb and dumbfounded. Chapter 266 And the Pain of Jinchuriki, the Lock of the Golem, seeking subscription. Advertisement. At the same time, the other side, far in the north of the country of fire, deep in the mountains. Now, within a gorge, there are several figures standing in it. The 3 of them, all with black hair and red eyes, wore black haori with extraordinary aura. Suddenly, one of the deep voices spoke. Drop, Since the three-tailed beast Jinchuriki has been successfully retaken, there is no need to wait. Release them all, Obito. Clear. The person who spoke is naturally Uchiha Madara of Impure World Reincarnation. At this time, standing around him are the other three in the team, Uchiha Obito, Black Zetsu, and Uchiha Sasuke. Different from the previous ones, the four of them at this moment are all wearing a set of black haori, which seems to be some kind of brand new uniform. And the person who just answered Uchiha Madara's words is naturally Obito, who returned after stealing Jinchuriki. After answering Madara's words, Obito didn't hesitate anymore, raised his hand and placed it on Mangekyo in his right eye. Next moment, chakra is running, Mangekyo Sharingan is activated instantly. Kamui. Stare. Seeing the volume of Uzumaki in the invisible space, Obito instantly released all the restrained three-tailed beasts Jinchuriki from the different space of Kamui. The moment I saw these instruments, both Madara and Sasuke's eyes moved slightly at the same time. Obviously, I didn't expect Uchiha Obito to connect the restrained items that bundled 090 to Jinchuriki. And Sasuke's gaze involuntarily turned to a red-haired boy on the side. Although he was tied to the instrument, with his head down and faint, he couldn't see the specific appearance, but on his forehead, there was clearly a love inscribed. See this? Sasuke frowned suddenly. He was still thinking about how this person looks so familiar. I just remember now, 3 years ago, during Konoha's Chunin exam. This guy came as the representative contestant of Sunagakure, the country of wind, named Gaara, along with a violent woman named Tamari, and a puppet master named Kankuro. It is said that this Gaara is the son of Fengying, and also the strongest person in the Sand Shinobi team that time. However, due to the sudden occurrence of Konoha collapse, Sasuke could not witness what happened later. Did not expect, is this guy actually the tail beast Jinchuriki in Sand Shinobi? Sasuke's eyes drooped slightly, thinking in his heart. But the expression is still cold. There are no more mood swings in my heart. Because now, this ninja world was nothing more than a dark and dirty thing to him. There is nothing worth worrying about therefore, even if it is an old person, whom I have seen in the past, it doesn't matter anymore. After all, their goals and plans have already been achieved. While Obito and Black Zetsu went to Rain Shinobi village to steal the tail beast Jinchuriki, Madara was also teaching Sasuke about the power of Rinnegan and the summoning technique of the Gedo statue. And now, everything is ready. Dirt Madara's eyes turned to Uchiha Sasuke, who was aside indifferently, and opened. Go ahead, Sas. Start a new chapter from now on. Dirty Madara's eyes flickered, and she said lowly. And this side, Sasuke's expression did not change, but he nodded coldly, then stepped forward 2 steps and walked to the front. The next moment, his hands suddenly lifted, and the seal was quickly formed. At the same time, the lavender Rinnegan in his eyes flashed with domineering aura. Next moment, from his mouth, spit out a few words faintly. Advertisement, summoning technique Gedo statue, base. The moment the voice fell, Jia Yin is complete. I saw on the ground ahead, countless cracks began to appear suddenly. Next moment, a huge Gedo statue suddenly climbed out of the ground, like a certain demon returning from hell to the world. Seeing this picture, the eyes of Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu on the side suddenly brightened, and they were happy. It's really a Gedo statue. The call was successful. Wonderful. Unexpectedly, the kid Uchiha Sasuke, although I like to pretend, but the talent is still something. In this way, you really don't have to think of a way to fight against Akatsuki to seize the power of Gedo statue and Rinnegan. As long as Sasuke is there, you can easily achieve Project Tsuki no Mi. Obito's eyes were shining, and his heart was very happy. And at this time, Black Zetsu on the side was even more excited. The mother-saving plan is one step further, although it did not expect. Why is there suddenly another descendant of the Uchiha family on the way of this plan? But, well, it doesn't matter anymore. The important thing is, these chess pieces have all played their proper roles. Uchiha Obito, as the promoter behind the former Project Tsuki no Mi, is also the spokesperson of Uchiha Madara. Based on his understanding of various intelligences in the ninja world, it can be said that no one can beat him. Therefore, today, it is still one of the main forces collecting the tail beast Jinchuriki, and is responsible for controlling the overall situation. And Uchiha Madara, without a doubt, must be the strongest fighter in this team. Even if there is no Rinnegan, it is just the state of Impure World reincarnation, and it has not been fully resurrected. However, as long as you don't encounter a humanoid plugin like Qing Yu in Shaozong, you will definitely be able to blow up the entire ninja world, and the 5 shadows are not empty. The last Uchiha Sasuke is the main executor of Moon Eye. He will be responsible for using Rinnegan's power to control the Gedo statue to swallow the 9 big-tailed beasts, thereby resurrecting 10 tails, and step by step towards 10 tails Jinchuriki, and even launch infinite Tsukuyomi. And at the end of it all, it's time for its plan to end. As long as the time comes, Sasuke becomes 10 tails Jinchuriki and launches infinite Tsukuyomi. It can take the opportunity to sneak attack and complete the feat of saving mom in an instant. Just thinking about it makes me happy now. Obito, Sasuke, Madara and others on the side. Naturally it is impossible to know Black Zetsu's thoughts. Still focusing on the immediate plan. After the appearance of the Gedo statue, the huge body occupies almost half the size of the canyon, and it seems particularly oppressive. And at the moment, the 3 bound-up tailed beasts Jinchuriki in front of it would only appear extremely short, not worth mentioning. Call. At this time, Sasuke, who controls the Gedo statue, has a deep gaze and slowly exhales. To be honest, the control of the Gedo statue, in the eyes of a beginner like him, is indeed quite strenuous. Not only will it consume a considerable amount of chakra, but it will also consume a lot of physical energy, even something similar to vitality. However, it doesn't matter anymore. He raised his eyes, looked at Madara indifferently, and asked. Just start. Madara, who was on the side of the dirt, did not hesitate. She still held her chest with her hands, nodded indifferently, and said in a low voice without emotion. End these Jinchuriki sufferings. The tail beast belongs to us. The voice fell. Sasuke here no longer has any hesitation. In an instant, his eyes sank, and the next moment, he raised his hands again, forming a complicated seal. Immediately, Rinnegan's eyes flashed. Stare. Next moment. The mutation happened suddenly. I saw that in front of Sasuke, the huge Gedo statue suddenly opened its mouth at this moment. Immediately, in that abyss, a blood-red light radiated from the abyss, which made people fearful. Advertisement. See this. Both Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu felt agitated at the same time, and became awe-inspiring. Of course they know what Sasuke is doing, this technique. It is the lock of the golem. Able to control the Gedo statue, spray a powerful chakra chain directly from the body, and pull the tail beast directly from Jinchuriki's body, and forcibly devour it. This technique does not need to gather the power of multiple ninjas like the magic dragon. But, however, the requirements for the operator themselves are very high. Therefore, Obito didn't choose to inform Nagato of that method. After all, taking Nagato's weak vitality, I'm afraid it's simply not enough to support the normal release of this technique. But, Uchiha Sasuke in front of me really doesn't have to worry about it. He has the blood of the Uchiha clan and Senju Hashirama cells at the same time, and his vitality is strong enough to control Rinnegan to complete this technique. Sure enough, next moment, I saw in the giant mouth of the Gedo statue, 3 huge deep purple chains suddenly shot out. Boom. Immediately, like an illusory existence, he directly entered the body of the 3 unconscious Jinchuriki, and in an instant, began to emit a dark purple strange light. Next moment, Sasuke's eyes condensed, staring. I saw 3 giant chains, almost without any hindrance, shrinking back in an instant. At the same time, chakra, the 3 gigantic tail beasts, broke away from the bodies of the Jinchuriki in an instant, and was bound to the chains of the Gedo statue. And then, attracted by the dark red light in the mouth of the Gedo statue, the 3 huge tail beasts' chakra, in an instant, turned into a torrent of majestic tail beasts, and they were all swallowed away. Boom. The vast momentum has brought countless gusts in the canyon. However, seeing this picture, Uchiha Madara, Obito and others, but they all have a planned smile on their faces. It succeeded. The kid Uchiha Sasuke did not disappoint. Thus, next, you only need to gather all the remaining Jinchuriki, and you can easily resurrect 10 tails. Huh. This side, as the devouring of the Gedo statue ended, Sasuke let out a sigh of relief slowly, and his expression recovered. And at the moment, Uchiha Madara on the side raised the corners of his mouth slightly and slowly laughed. Good job, Sas. As expected of my younger generation recognized by Uchiha Madara. The voice fell. Sasuke didn't have any emotional 4.6 fluctuations, but raised his eyes and looked over, and said directly. What about the next task? Since the so-called 10 tails are to be resurrected, these 3-tailed beasts are definitely not enough. He still said coldly. Of course. After listening, Uchiha Madara on the side also didn't have ink marks and said lightly. Next, we are about to officially attack. Regardless of whether the Akatsuki organization continues to interfere, the remaining 6-tailed beasts must return to our master. Obito, tell me about your plan? Uchiha Madara's eyes looked at Obito here. After all, with his death in these years, many earth-shaking changes have taken place in the ninja world, and he knows less about it. In comparison, Uchiha Obito, who has always been the spokesperson, is actually an old dough stick in the ninja world. Regardless of the various ninja factions and the Jinchuriki intelligence, they are all clear. At this time, asking him is the safest way. Also Chapter 267 The Final Collection of Tail Beasts, an invitation to the 5 Shadows talk, subscription required. Advertisement now. Madara's voice fell, the eyes of the audience naturally focused on Obito's mask. Obito's eyes drooped slightly, thinking silently. After a while, he raised his eyes and looked at it again, and after scanning the faces of the few people in front of him, he finally looked at Uchiha Madara and said in a low voice. I think it should be safer. The remaining tail beast Jinchuriki, we should make sure that there is no disruptor, and then take a thunderous action to quickly complete the suppression. Also, try not to have a head-on conflict with Akatsuki or the 5 ninja villages. After all, although we have now controlled the Gedo statue and the 3-tailed beasts, there is still a distance from that target. Once it is not handled well and there is a major conflict with other forces, it is likely to lead to a disadvantageous situation for us. For example, if Rinnegan of Sasuke is taken away, or a certain Jinchuriki dies, then our plan will be stalled. Obito's low voice fell. As predicted, on this side, Sasuke frowned slightly, looked at Uchiha Obito coldly, and said indifferently. Are you underestimating my strength? Words fall? The atmosphere suddenly condensed. Obito was stunned for a moment, and then immediately reacted, and also stared at O2 and said indifferently. I'm not underestimating you. It's our enemy, whose strength is too unfathomable. When you fight with that man, in the future, you will probably know. Uchiha Obito said without any emotion, and as soon as the voice fell. Sasuke's eyes suddenly condensed. That man? Unfathomable. Who is it? However, before Sasuke asked again. On this side, Uchiha Madara, who hadn't spoken for a long time, raised her eyes indifferently, spoke indifferently, and said, "Okay. Just do what Obito said. The capture of the remaining tailed beast Jinchuriki is left to you for the time being. The current situation does not require Uchiha Madara to take action." Understood. Uchiha Obito slowly lowered his forehead and replied with his eyes down. Sasuke on the side was indifferent, he didn't say a word and didn't know what he was thinking. But obviously, he has already acquiesced to this plan. At the same time, the other side, Rain Country in Rain Shinobi Village. Above the tower, Nagato and Konan were standing on it, looking into the distance. After a while, Konan suddenly said with a weird face, "Nagato, are you sure?" Advertisement Nagato answered without thinking, and then slowly exhaled, his eyes flickering, and he said faintly, "I have confirmed, Gedo statue, summoning has indeed left. Moreover, even the connection between me and it has been almost completely cut off. It can be seen from this, on their side, there really is a second pair of Rinnegan, and someone who is very familiar with the Gedo statue." As soon as the words fell, Konan was slightly startled for a while, his expression was a bit dazed. After being stunned for a moment, he said helplessly, "Sure enough. Does Uchiha Obito do it?" Nagato nodded, then turned around and looked over. After a long silence, he said, "Maybe, after a while, when they finish collecting the 9 big-tailed beasts. It's this who will confront the legendary tail beast weapon." Hearing this, Konan lowered his eyes slightly, not knowing what he was thinking. Under the heavy rain, above the tower, it was exceptionally quiet. Rain Shinobi Village also appeared extremely quiet. But they all know, this silence is just the peace before the storm. One day, when the tail beast weapon appeared, the Fourth Ninja World War will start directly. Time flies. In a blink of an eye, more than a month passed. Under the seemingly peaceful world of Shinobu, various undercurrents surged and never stopped. Just under the circumstances that others don't know. Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Sasuke have already started their tail beast plunder plan. Starting with 3 tails and 6 tails in Kirigakure, Water Country, 7 tails in Takigakure Village, 5 tails in Iwagakure, and 8 tails in Cloud Shinobi Village. Although the 8 tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee of Cloud Shinobi Village is a perfect Jinchuriki, it has unparalleled strength. However, this rap master did not have the opportunity to beat Wong Erzu violently as in the original book. After all, what he is facing is the LV Max version of Sasuke that has been strengthened by Qing Yu and has Hashirama cells plus Rinnegan. Not to mention, there was a sneak attack by Uchiha Obito next to it. Therefore, under the strong flanking and siege of the two, in the end, Killer Bee can only display the power of complete body and tail beast, trying to be hard with the opposite two. Unexpectedly, Sasuke directly used Rinnegan summoning to create the Gedo statue, and instantly used the Golem Lock, and the speed of light controlled 8 tails. In desperation, 8 tails had to use its special ability Tail Docking, to strip Killer Bee out. Then, when Sasuke and Obito left, the Killer Bee in the tail also slipped out of Cloud Shinobi Village. But this is something to do. So far, as soon as 8 tails of the 9 big-tailed beasts arrive, they have all been collected, and the devouring work of the Gedo statue has also been completed. And Sasuke and Obito's tail beast collection journey, there is only the last goal left. Advertisement Konohagakure, 9 tails Jinchuriki, Whirlpool Naruto. And this time, in Konoha Village, few people in the peaceful village are aware of the undercurrent surging beneath the surface of peace. Everyone is doing normal things as usual, but at this moment, what they don't know is, 5th Hokage Tsunade, however, was rushing towards the barrier at the entrance of the village with a solemn expression on his face. Beside her is the famous Jiraiya. Now, both of them looked a little serious. Because just now, they suddenly learned, outside Konoha Village, uninvited guests came unexpectedly. Just outside the Konoha barrier, 3 dark-skinned Cloud Shinobi ninjas wearing white robes came. The ninja guarding the Konoha enchantment immediately interrogated them. But learned, they said that they had an autograph of Master 4th Raikage of Cloud Shinobi Village in their hands, and they couldn't give it to them. In the end there is no way. They can only send someone to pass the letter to Tsunade in Hokage's office. When receiving this news, Tsunade was naturally very surprised. However, after a little thought, Tsunade immediately contacted Jiraiya and rushed towards the barrier. This side. Outside the enchantment, when the Tsunade wearing Fire 09 Okageba Ori appeared in front of him, these Cloud Shinobi messenger ninjas were obviously taken aback. But then, he immediately lowered his head at the same time, and then the leader spoke respectfully. "Hokage-sama of Konoha Village, excuse me, I'm here for my 4th Raikage from Cloud Shinobi Village. Master Ai is here to deliver the secret letter. This is his invitation to you." Talking, he respectfully stretched out his hands and handed over a white envelope. Tsunade raised his eyebrows slightly, did not speak, and took the envelope. After that, the ninja immediately said, "In that case, my mission is complete. Farewell, Master Hokage." When the voice fell, he bowed to Tsunade again, then used the body flicker technique to leave. Tsunade frowned slightly, then, after looking at Jiraiya on the side, he opened the envelope in his hand. However, when she finished reading, her pupils suddenly shrank and froze. Even Jiraiya, who was always calm next to him, couldn't help but breathe and froze after seeing what was written on it. The content above, they never thought of 4th Raikage I, unexpectedly proposed to hold the 5 Shadows talk. P.S. Starting from this chapter, it officially enters the final chapter. The Dutch author's final outline has almost been sorted out, so the rhythm of the plot afterwards may be slightly faster than before. Chapter 268 Real Storm, Filthy Earth Modder's Sneer, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya solemnly. All saw a weird and solemn look in the eyes of the other party. To know, the Five Shadows Conference can be said to be the highest level conference in the entire ninja world. In the ninja world, the 5 most powerful ninja villages came forward in person to participate in the talks. However, since the outbreak of conflicts and ninja wars between countries that year, this Five Shadows meeting has been almost abandoned. Did not expect, today, it has been mentioned by Raikage again. This shows that things are definitely not simple. Tsunade and Jiraiya came to a shelter on one side. After making sure that no other people were waiting, he looked at the letter in his hand again and turned the second page. As predicted, the reason and location of the Five Shadows meeting are written on it. However, at a moment after reading it, Tsunade and Jiraiya were stunned again at the same time, their eyes froze. This? What happened? And many more. The Eight-Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee of Cloud Shinobi Village was taken away by a black organization. The person who took it turned out to be Konoha's rebellious Shinichi Uchiha Sasuke. This, after reading the letter. Tsunade raised his eyes complicatedly and looked at Jiraiya on this side. On the other hand, Jiraiya frowned deeply, and after a while, he lowered his eyes and said in a low voice. It seems, sure enough, they said the same as Nagato. That group is still catching Jinchuriki in the big ninja villages, and some kind of big conspiracy is brewing. It's just that I didn't expect that even the close friend Naruto often mentioned, Uchiha Sasuke, was involved in it. Jiraiya stared at Tsunade, her face solemn, and after listening. Tsunade also nodded heavily. No doubt, of course she had heard the name Uchiha Sasuke. After all, Naruto often put him on his lips, only. She also couldn't think of it. The teenager Sasuke, who was taken abducted by Orochimaru at the time, has now joined the Uchiha Obito, and has become the culprit in the Tail Beast plundering incident. I don't know what Naruto would think if he heard the news. And that fourth Raikage, obviously because of this fuse, chose to initiate this Five Shadows talks. His purpose was naturally to punish Uchiha Sasuke, and to find a way to rescue his brother. Advertisement. What should I do? Tsunade looked at Jiraiya and asked condensely. The voice fell. Jiraiya's gaze looked into the distance, and then he pondered and said solemnly. Going. Since they have caught Cloud Shinobi's Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, it means that the plan hasn't stopped. That is to say, the next goal is likely to be me and us. Heard that. Tsunade's heart shrank suddenly. And then, Jiraiya continued to speak in a low voice. Nagato and Konan once said that the target of the group is likely to be all the 9-tailed beasts. Plus the information I got from Uchiha Itachi, it can also prove that Konoha's 9 tails is also in their plan. Therefore, if we reject this 5-cage meeting, we will most likely usher in a fierce battle with Uchiha Obito and others. In this way, it will be very unfavorable to us. Refusal to talk will not only cause Raikage's dissatisfaction, it may even cost us Naruto and 9 tails. After Jiraiya said, Tsunade's eyes suddenly became heavy. Really, as Jiraiya said, even if they don't participate in the Five Shadows meeting, those people will inevitably hit Konoha directly in order to collect the tail beasts, and there will be a battle in the end. In this case, it is better to take the opportunity of the Five Shadows Conference to unite with other shadows of Shinobu Village and fight against them together. In that case, the winning percentage can be greatly improved. Realize this. Tsunade thought for a moment, then looked at Jiraiya solemnly, and said. In that case, then go. However, this time the meeting place is set in the neutral Iron Country, and the journey from here is a bit far away. If we leave directly, Naruto in the village will not be effectively protected. In other words, should we arrange suitable manpower to protect Naruto, or hide him? Tsunade said deliberately, as soon as the voice fell. Jiraiya seemed to have already figured out how to deal with it, and did not hesitate or think, looked directly at Tsunade, and said directly. Not as good as, just let Naruto follow you to participate in the Five Shadows Conference as a guard, how about? In every Five Shadows talks in history, in order to ensure the safety of shadows and the normal progress of the meeting, each shadow will bring 2 guards to go together. In that case, why not let Naruto go there with you directly? In this way, you can notice his condition at any time, and you can also use the power of 5 shadows to protect him. Quote dash dash exclamation mark. Quote. Jiraiya's words fell off. Tsunade was taken aback for a moment, then his eyes lit up. Advertisement. Wait. Yes, if you want to ensure the safety of Naruto, there is indeed no safer place than the scene of the Five Shadows talks. Even if Uchiha Obito or Uchiha Sasuke really fights by then, there will be other Ninumura shadows. In this way, the safety of Naruto, 9 tails Jinchuriki, can be guaranteed to the utmost extent. Thinking of this, Tsunade nodded suddenly and agreed, then looked at Jiraiya again, and said. What about the other person, are you, do not? Jiraiya shook his head slowly, and said helplessly. If the 2 of us leave at the same time, no one in Konoha can preside over the overall situation. At this critical juncture, I need to stay in Konoha to ensure safety and stability here. But don't worry, I have already thought of another candidate for you. Who? Tsunade moved in his heart and asked subconsciously. Jiraiya suddenly raised his hand and pointed to the distance. A white-haired man who was walking casually in the street with a yellow book, smiled and said. The mainstay of Konoha's future, Hitaki Kakashi. Looking at the direction Jiraiya pointed, Tsunade raised his eyebrows, his eyes moved slightly, and then nodded and said, "Really? Kakashi is indeed wise and brave and strong enough. Then are they too?" Jiraiya nodded. Immediately, he suddenly walked towards Kakashi. While exhaling, he said loudly, "Call, just in case, I'll explain something to Kakashi, and talk to Naruto by the way. As for the other ninjas in the village, I will trouble you to make a statement, Tsunade." While talking, Jiraiya waved his hand and left, and Tsunade did not answer. After she glanced at the letter in her hand, she sank and walked away as well. On Konoha's streets, people came and went, as calm as usual. But she knew the real storm is coming, and at the same time on the other side. Somewhere in the valley on the border of the country of fire. Dirty Soil Uchiha Madara was listening to the news from Black Zetsu in front of him with an unexpected look on his face. Immediately, he suddenly grinned slightly, revealing a deep smile, and said in a low voice, snarling, "Will the Five Shadows talk about dogs? It's been a long time since I saw such a big battle. It seems, it's also time for them to see our strength." Chapter 269. At the scene of the Five Shadows talks, that man is here? Seeking subscription? Advertisement time flies like a white horse, fleeting. In a blink of an eye, it was already a few days later. As planned by Jiraiya, Tsunade, 5th Hokage, led Hitaki Kakashi and Uzumaki Naruto, left Konoha village, and arrived at the venue of the Five Shadows Talks Iron Country. The Country of Iron, located in the north of the Country of Fire, it is also the northernmost place above the entire ninja continent. Therefore, before stepping into the border here, a heavy snow of goose feathers began to fall above the sky. Everywhere in the eye, there is a flawless, pure white color that is difficult to see clearly. The three of Tsunade naturally put on special gray robes for warmth and snow cover. However, to enter the core capital of the Iron Kingdom, strict procedures are required. Generally speaking, it will go through several identity inspections and purpose inquiries, and even, in some cases, it is necessary to show relevant certificates. Therefore, at the border of the Country of Iron, there was a long line, most of which were traffic merchants from various countries. But the guard here is not the ninja. It is the Iron Country samurai, all wearing samurai armor and samurai swords on their waists. Yes, unlike other countries in the ninja world, there is no such thing as a ninja or a ninja organization in the Country of Iron. On the contrary, it is guarded by a group of soldiers called samurais. Because of this, from a long time before 090, it has become a neutral country with a unique culture, independent authority, and independent combat power. The ninjas of the major countries also agreed to each other that no matter what kind of war broke out, they would not go to war against this neutral country. Even though there have been 3 wars of ninja in the past, this country has not been affected by too much war. Except that Hanzo of the Salamander, the leader of the Land of Rain, tried to expand his territory and attacked, it was almost settled all year round. Soon after entering the capital, the 3 Tsunade met with the respondent who was in charge of the meeting. A bald middle-aged samurai with a mustache came to the front of the Tsunade trio, with a gentle smile on his face, and said respectfully, "You must be Lord Hokage from Konoha village, Country of Fire." "Hello, meeting for the first time. My name is Matsushima, the guard of Lord Mifune who is in charge of the talks in the Five Shadows meeting. Mifune-sama and Raikage-sama sent me to wait to greet you to the meeting site. Please come with me." Advertisement. When the words fell, the samurai named Matsushima immediately made a gesture of asking. His etiquette is very good, and it fits well with the samurai tradition in the Iron Country. Tsunade nodded slightly, then walked forward and asked casually, "Has the 4 shadows of all countries arrived?" Hearing that, Songdao, who led the way before, did not hesitate and immediately replied, "Well, not yet, Master Hokage, you are the 3rd person present." At the moment, only 4th Raikage from Cloud Shinobi village Aisama and Iwagakure's 3rd Tsuchikage Onoki-sama have arrived at the scene. And Mizukage-sama of Kirigakure has also replied to the message and will come soon. As for Sanagakure's Fungying-sama, I haven't replied yet. The Matsushima introduced methodically, leading the Tsunade trio through a series of defensive positions smoothly. The warriors who were in charge of guarding along the way had obviously been attached to them in advance, so they didn't come forward to question them either. After hearing Matsushima's words, Tsunade nodded. Raikage and Tsuchikage rushed to her first. She can understand, after all, these two were both famous in patience. As for Kirigakure's Mizukage, it's normal to come slowly because of the long distance. As for Sanagakure's Wind and Shadow thought of here. Tsunade's heart suddenly felt helpless. Of course she knew why Fungying didn't reply. After all, just over a month ago, their agent, 5th Kazekage Gaara, was taken away by Uchiha Obito and others who predated the Tail Beast. His whereabouts are still unknown, and his life and death are unknown. It can be said, even if Sand Shinobi didn't send someone to the Five Shadows meeting, Tsunade wouldn't be surprised. The 3 followed Matsushima, each thinking. After arriving at the meeting place, they immediately saw a CEG, a huge tent-like building in the blizzard ahead. At this time, Matsushima spoke at the right time. "Master Hokage, there is the meeting room where the Five Shadows conference will be held in the future. However, since Master Fungying and Master Mizukage have not yet arrived, I'll take you to a nearby tea room. Mifune-sama, Raikage and Tsuchikage are all there now." Tsunade nodded, saying nothing. It is common sense that the Five Shadows talks can only start after all the shadows have gathered. Advertisement shortly after, a few people came outside the lounge and stopped. Matsushima faced forward, lowered his head and said respectfully. Mifune-sama, I'm Matsushima, Lord Hokage of Konoha village, and 2 guards have been brought here. When the voice fell, a somewhat old voice came from inside. Please come in. Tsunade slowly condensed and calmed down, and then nodded to Matsushima, and was led by Kakashi and Naruto to the front lounge. Matsushima lowered his head slightly, then turned and left. Naruto and Kakashi behind Tsunade became serious involuntarily. After all, this is the highest level meeting site. And the people they were going to meet next were the people at the top of the entire ninja world. Whether it is the 3rd Tsuchikage Onoki, who is known as the 2 Libras, or the 4th Raikage, who is known as the Blue Lightning, in Cloud Shinobi Village, they are all the people whose name resounds throughout the ninja world. Even Naruto, who has always been noisy, has been repeatedly asked by Jiraiya and Kakashi. Therefore, there is no extraordinary move now, however. Just when the 3 of them had just walked 2 meters away from the tea room. Suddenly, on the side of the tea room, a handsome samurai with long brown hair came over and passed them. He had a black tachibuki on his waist, with a gentle smile on his face, and after politely nodded at several people, he walked away. However, at this moment, Tsunade, Naruto, Kakashi, the 3 of them stiffly froze at the same time. Because at that moment, they see clearly under the brown hair of that black sword samurai, there is a pair of golden eyes shining brightly. Aware of this, almost at the same time, the pupils of the 3 of them contracted suddenly, and their hearts were shocked. This figure. Yes, that man? Chapter 270 Beyond My Understanding of Illusion, Before the War, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement that man actually came to the Iron Country? The scene of the 5 Shadows Conference. Aware of this, almost subconsciously, the 3 of them quickly turned their heads at the same time and looked behind them. They are already 99% sure, you can't read it wrong. Those majestic and dazzling golden eyes, apart from the range shinobi ninja named Qing Yu, there is no one else. However, after looking back, the 3 of them were also startled again, and suddenly stupefied. I saw them behind, at this moment, except for the white snow, there is nothing else. Not to mention the black-clothed golden-eyed samurai who just passed by, even on the snow ahead, there were no footprints. See here, the 3 of Tsunade's pupils suddenly shrank, and they sucked in a cold breath. What kind of superb body technique is this? Obviously he just walked in this direction, why did it suddenly disappear? Moreover, even if it disappeared in such a silent situation, it turned out to be Taksauwuan? This is outrageous. Break. Is it an illusion? Naruto was the first to speak, looked at his teacher Kakashi, and asked in a daze. And heard that, Tsunade also looked towards Kakashi. There is no doubt that Kakashi, who owns Sharingan, is naturally more accomplished in illusion than them. However, at this moment, after hearing Naruto's question, Kakashi fell silent, and then shook his head solemnly, saying, No, can't feel any chakra interference. Moreover, I have never seen such a group illusion that can confuse the illusion and reality in an instant. If this is really an illusion he caused, then I can only say one. This has surpassed my understanding of illusion. Kakashi's voice fell. The expression on Naruto's face suddenly became more confused, and then he still looked around, trying to find the figure who had just passed by. However, Tsunade here is lost in thought. In fact, unlike Kakashi and Naruto, Tsunade did not know this Qing Yu during the Chunin exam. But in the short book street, just before Jiraiya and Naruto came to find her, the golden pupil of Rain Shinobi appeared. And, advertisement also in that acquaintance, he showed extremely powerful strength. At the level of strength, it can be said that he completely crushed Tsunade under normal conditions. Even Tsunade was born with the idea of unlocking the 100 healings mark. A few years later, in the conversation with Jiraiya, she suddenly learned, it turns out that during Konoha's Chunin exam, the Rain Shinobi ninja with golden pupils led 3 students to Konoha as the Rain Shinobi teacher. So far, everything is connected in series, but she never thought of it anyway. At the scene of the 5 shadows talks in this Iron Country, he also appeared. Completely unexpected, there was a long silence. Tsunade let out a breath and recovered his mind again, then raised his eyes to look at Kakashi and Naruto who were aside, and said in a low voice. Let's go. He and us should not be enemies, so don't be too defensive. Go and meet Raikage and Tsuchikage inside, talking. Tsunade turned around and continued to walk towards the tea room ahead. Calm and calm. After Kakashi and Naruto looked at each other, they nodded at him and followed immediately. After all, the 2 of them came here as Hokage guards, so naturally they have to do their job as guards. As for Tsunade's words, it is of course not difficult for them to understand. After all, before leaving Konoha this time, Jiraiya explained to them the related information about the Rain Shinobi hidden village and the Akatsuki organization, which naturally included the mysterious Qing Yu. Although they don't know the real reason why Qing Yu came here. But, as long as it is not hostile. At the same time, the other side, just when Tsunade and the other 3 entered the tea room. In a certain group of snow-capped mountains in the distance, Qing Yu dressed in black was standing on a cliff, looking at the scenery here, with a faint smile on his face. In his mind, the familiar sound of the system popped out at the right moment. Ding! Congratulations to host. You have successfully arrived at the key location, Iron Country 5 Shadows conference site. The main mission has been successfully triggered. Participate in the big event, the 4th Ninja World War, unfinished, the reward is unknown. Hearing this long-lost prompt, Qing Yu's eyes grew with a smile. That's right. The reason why he came here, of course, it is to trigger this most critical main task 1. The Fourth Ninja World War, as we all know, in the original work. This time the Five Shadows talks were forcibly interrupted in the chaos of Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Sasuke. Then, Uchiha Obito directly announced the opening of the Fourth Ninja War to Gokage. Advertisement if not unexpected, this time, this famous scene should also be reproduced. 0. Look for flowers, but, in their camp, to add a vital role 1. Impure World Reincarnation Uchiha Madara, this man. Even if it is not fully resurrected, it is undoubtedly one of the highest ceilings in the entire Fourth Ninja World War. Without him, this war would have been very anxious. After all, although the Urzuzi has a major version of enhancement, it also has Hashirama Cell plus Rinnegan 2 plugins. However, if he wants to confront Wying directly, it goes without saying that he will definitely suffer. However, adding Uchiha Madara makes it different. If the 2 generations of Indra are reincarnated to fight together, it will be easy to beat the Five Shadows immediately. Thus, deterrence is sufficient. Staring at the meeting site in the distance, Qing Yu's eyes flickered. 0.0 Next, just wait for the beginning of the war. And at this time, under unknown circumstances, on the snow-capped mountains on the border of the Iron Kingdom. At this moment, there are 4 figures wearing black uniforms, also standing on a snow-capped mountain, looking in a certain direction. It's the infinite Tsukuyomi foursome, Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito, Uchiha Sasuke, and the actor Must. Not long ago, the genius discovered that the 9 Tails person Juka Uzumaki Naruto of Konoha village had followed the 5th Hokage to the scene of the Five Shadows talks. Therefore, they gave up the attack on Konoha village and went directly to the Iron Country. Staring at the direction of the Iron Country capital in the distance, Uchiha Madara's eyes were indifferent, and she spoke blankly and said, "Next, there will only be 9 Tails. After the Five Shadows talks begin, I will act as soon as possible and directly suppress the Five Shadows. As for 9 Tails Jinchuriki, I will leave it to you." Obito, Sasuke. Clear. Obito's red eyes flickered slightly, and he answered in a low voice. And aside, Sasuke's eyes were like a frozen lake. Can't afford to make waves. He knows, it's finally time for the final battle. The new world without disputes and absolute peace that Itachi has been looking forward to. Coming soon. Chapter 271 Overturn the Five Shadows Building. Blue Valkyrie appears, subscription required. Advertisement the next day. In the heavy snow, the Five Shadows of the Iron Country talks were officially held. However, said it was 5 shadows. In the end, only the shadows of the 4 countries came to participate. The country of fire Konoha village Tsunade, the country of thundercloud Shinobi village Ai, the country of soil Iwagakure Onogi. Kirigakure Terumi Mei, the land of water. That's right. The wind shadow of Sunagakure, the country of wind, did not accept Reikage's invitation to participate in this 5 shadow talk. And, he also sent a letter to the Iron Country and rejected it. Now, the leader of the Iron Nation, Mifune, and the 4 shadows sat around the conference table, and Reikage Ai was naturally furious after reading the letter in his hand. He slapped the case, squeezed the letter in his hand into a ball, and shouted angrily. "Humph! What's the matter with the group of guys in the Kingdom of Wind? With such a letter, they refused this meeting. You actually saw it inconvenient to participate, what kind of shit reason is this?" 090. Reikage's anger echoed in the conference room. Everyone present looked helpless. Of course they knew that this Reikage was notoriously grumpy and couldn't change it at all. Not to mention, this time the incident also involved his younger brother and the tail beast, which he cared most about. Naturally, he couldn't calm down anymore. In fact, if it weren't for the 3 ships to mediate here, it is estimated that they have been dry because of mutual discomfort. At this moment, Reikage's voice fell. On the side, Oyemu suddenly showed a weird expression. Immediately, he looked in the direction of Tsunade, and then said in an old voice. "Princess Katsuyu, you Konoha village and Sunagakure have always been closely related, should you know something?" Hear the words. Everyone's eyes immediately followed. Seeing this, Tsunade also raised his eyes suddenly, and then thought for a moment before shook his head helplessly, saying, "As far as I know, the one-tailed Jinchuriki of Sand Shinobi who was taken away should be their agent Fifth Kazekage." So, having said that, Tsunade stopped and did not continue. But obviously, everyone present naturally heard it immediately. Sunagakure has basically always been the weakest existence in the 5 ninja villages. With the disappearance of the current agent Feng Ying, it is indeed difficult to recommend a new agent immediately. Advertisement. In this way, they refused the 5 shadows talks, but it was reasonable. After all, they are probably still busy retrieving Jinchuriki. Quote. After listening to Tsunade's words, the Reikage I here eased a little bit. After all, his brother was also taken away. Of course he could understand. However, even so, he frowned, his expression still a bit unhappy. And this side, Tsunade was also a little helpless in his heart. Think at the beginning, Sunagakure sent someone to Konoha for help, hoping to retrieve the kidnapped one-tailed Gaara. However, with the passage of time, hope has become increasingly elusive. There is no news so far. In other words, now even Gaara's life and death are unknown. In this case, Sunagakure, who was already weak, must be greatly reduced again, and morale is even more sluggish. To say, inconvenient to participate, is already a very implicit statement. After everyone was silent for a moment, the host Mifune, who was sitting at the top of the conference table, spoke up. He is the warrior leader of the Iron Kingdom, and he is also the host of this Five Shadows talks, and he is responsible for mediating the talks among the Five Shadows of various countries. He only cleared his throat and then said with a serious face. Cough. Since Senagakure's Fengying is inconvenient to attend, then I will announce that this 5-cage meeting has officially begun. Everyone, since you have all sat on this table, you must know the topic of this meeting. Yes, it was about the tail-beast plundering conspiracy of Uchiha Sasuke and others. And this time, we, Mifune, sat at the top of the conference table with a solemn tone and methodical narration. In fact, most of these contents are also written in the previous invitation letter of Raikage about the Five Shadows talks, and some of them are what they discussed before the meeting. Except for Mizukage Terumi Mei from Kirigakure, the country of water, who came late and didn't know some of the details, most of the others knew it well. Even Kakashi and Uzumaki Naruto, who are the followers of Tsunade, also know. And at the moment, listening to the narration of Mifune, Naruto's face became heavier. He involuntarily clenched his fists, his eyes were extremely dignified, as if thinking about something. In fact, regarding Sasuke's abduction of Cloud Shinobi 8 Tails. Long before leaving Konoha village, Naruto had heard of it from Jiraiya. At that time, he was naturally shocked and wanted to find Raikage to negotiate, hoping that Raikage could burn Sasuke's life. However, as soon as this idea was spoken, Jiraiya sternly rejected it, and he gave it a slap in the face. Without any choice, Naruto can only obediently follow what Jiraiya said, staying beside Tsunade and Kakashi all the time. Advertisement, but, in his heart, it is naturally impossible to give up Sasuke. If after when his Naruto met Uchiha Sasuke, he will definitely try his best to hide Sasuke back to his side. While thinking like this, Naruto's eyes became firmer. However, at this time, suddenly, the mutation happened. Outside the meeting room, there was a deafening sound, suddenly exploded. Boom. The terrifying sound of explosion hits the ground. Next moment, a huge sense of chakra oppression fell from the sky and bombarded the top floor of the building during the entire meeting. Realizing this, everyone present was shocked and their faces changed drastically. What's going on? An enemy attack? Hiss. However, before they think about it, suddenly, I saw a majestic deep blue chakra giant blade, suddenly rushed out, directly destroyed a large wall of the top building, and cut it like a fan, quickly. Bang! In a blink of an eye, the dazzling dark blue sword directly cut off and overturned the top of the entire conference building in an instant. The sound of explosion and collapse is endless. Boom! The roof of the entire building is like being lifted by an invisible giant hand, directly facing the sky above the sky. In the entire meeting room, whether it is the 4 shadows or the 4.6 warriors of the Iron Kingdom, at this moment, everyone raised their heads and stared at the sky, their pupils tightened, and their faces changed greatly. Because at the moment, just above the sky, an extremely majestic chakra blue figure of Valkyrie is standing in it. And above his right hand, he suddenly held the giant chakra blade that cut off the entire building, and the sense of oppression exploded. At the moment of seeing this sound, everyone present, without exception, froze stiffly, swaying coldly. What is going on with this horrible sense of oppression? Yes, who is it? Chapter 272. Absolutely right. He is the legendary ninja, seeking subscription. Advertisement. Everyone's eyes, without exception, stared at that figure. Sudden chill, however, under that powerful sense of oppression. The brilliance of this huge blue Valkyrie is more dazzling and dazzling under the sunlight, and it is even impossible for people to see the details. However, even if you haven't seen it clearly, of course they have already realized. This is definitely an enemy attack. The Iron Nation has been neutral for many years. If it hadn't been for this 5 Shadows talks, it would have been impossible for the enemy to target it for no reason. In other words, the target of the enemy's attack. It is this building where the 5 Shadows talks. It is also 5 Shadows in the talk, aware of this. Wang and the surrounding guards suddenly looked even more ugly. The situation at the moment, it can be said that it has taken a sharp turn, to the worst point. Originally, they wanted to use this meeting to discuss a plan to deal with Uchiha Sasuke and others, but they didn't expect. The enemy has come. In this case, they directly changed from the active side to the passive side who was attacked. Since the enemy dared to directly attack, O2 shows that he is not afraid of the 5 Shadows at all, and he is ready to declare war. Yes, damn it. Who is this guy on earth? The expressions on everyone's faces are clearly hard to look at. And until then, a few warriors of the Iron Kingdom rushed into the meeting room from the outside in a panic, shouting bloodlessly. No, it's not good, Mifune-sama. There is an enemy attack. The armored samurai army outside of us has all been defeated. As soon as the words fell, all the people present were shocked again. Hiss. Only at this moment, he actually defeated all the samurai legions of the Iron Kingdom. Really, this guy came prepared. Everyone raised their eyes again, and looked at the oppressive blue Valkyrie above the sky solemnly. However, at this time, Tsuchikage Onoki, who has been frozen all the time, has his pupils shrunk, and Do's cold sweat is all over his forehead. Obviously, at this moment, advertisement the look of horror on his face far surpassed the others on the side. This picture, in an instant, he was spotted by the keen 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei. She felt a slight brow, lowered her voice and asked in a deep voice. What's the matter? Mr. Tsuchikage, your expression doesn't look right. Could it be that you have recognized the enemy? As soon as the words fell, everyone immediately stared at Oimu and looked over. Sure enough, Onogi's pupils were tightening up, clenching his teeth, his face was slightly pale, and his sweat fell. After Terumi Mei's voice fell for a while, he gritted his teeth and said in disbelief. Yes, that's right, this long-lost sense of oppression is absolutely impossible for someone else, definitely that man. As soon as the voice fell, everyone's faces suddenly became confused. However, at this time, but only to see Raikage on the side furious, chakra burst out. Boom! The blue lightning-style chakra burst out in an instant, turning into a substantial lightning that entangled Raikage's body. And the next moment, I saw his feet suddenly exert force. Bang! The ground burst instantly. Raikage's body, at this moment, turned into a swift blue lightning, which swept directly towards the sky. Under the violent wind, his large robe fell to the ground in an instant. And at this moment, his violent voice came from the air. Looking at mystery. Watch the old man blow you up. Boom. It's too late to say, then soon. His body is like a human-shaped lightning ramming Madara, rushing frontally towards the chest of the huge blue Valkyrie. Seeing this sudden picture, the faces of everyone around naturally changed suddenly. No one thought of it. Raikage, a reckless man, rushed to the hard steel without hesitation before confirming the enemy's intelligence. The Tsuchikage Onoki below showed a horrified look like a ghost. Is this special? Is Raikage going up to die? In this case, go face to face with the man in the legend? However, how fast is Raikage? Even if everyone at the scene wanted to speak out to stop it, it would be too late. I saw above the sky, the blue lightning hit the blue Valkyrie. Boom! The deafening explosion sounded instantly and suddenly spread in all directions. Advertisement, however, unexpectedly, the blue martial god Susa is still standing still. Realized that something is wrong, Raikage instantly raised his eyes and looked into the interior of this huge chakra. However, at this look, his eyes suddenly shrank. I saw a man with black hair and red eyes standing in the chest of the Valkyrie. His left arm is in a broken state for some reason, but the indifference and haki on that face are oppressing everything around him as if it were substance. He just stood there, like the overlord of this world, watching everything. After seeing this face clearly, Raikage's heart shrank suddenly and couldn't help but froze. What is going on? Sharingan, what's the situation? If this guy is not Uchiha Sasuke, who is it? However, just when he looked into each other's eyes. Suddenly, stare. A powerful and weird chakra suddenly came from within the other Sharingan. In the next moment, under the indifferent gaze of this man, all the lightning on Raikage's body suddenly dissipated. As if he had lost all resistance, he fell directly from the height of 090. Pass. The dark body fell heavily on the ground. Raikage raised his hand and clenched his fist, clenching his teeth, his face extremely ugly. But damn it, do I know Sharingan's illusion in Central District? No doubt, at the moment he met the man, he directly activated Sharingan's illusion. However, at this time, everyone who saw this picture in the distance was naturally all stupid. What the FK is this? Fourth Raikage, known as Blue Lightning, was killed in seconds like this? This is too outrageous, right? When everyone was horrified. Tsuchikage Onoki on the side raised his eyes again, his face was extremely ugly, and gritted his teeth. It is absolutely impossible to go wrong. This existence completely above the five shadows is definitely the ninja Shura back then. The legendary ninja Uchiha Madara. Chapter 273 The Battle to the Legend. Sasuke descends on the Five Shadows Conference. Subscription required. Advertisement. The cold wind passed, the icy snow flies. And as soon as Tsuchikage Onoki's voice fell, pause time. The whole audience was silent. In almost an instant, everyone's pupils shrank suddenly at the same time, and they froze stiffly. They stared at Onoki with horrified eyes, unbelievable. Because, they couldn't think of it at all. Unexpectedly, I will hear that breathtaking name at this time. Uchiha Madara, the legendary ninja known as Ninja Shura. Decades ago, the only existence alongside Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas. He is also one of the founders of Konoha Shinobi Village. According to legend, when he was alive, his strength was second only to Senju Hashirama, far surpassing all other ninjas, standing on the top of the ninja world. But, later, for unknown reasons, he chose to rebel from Konoha Village, and after many years, controlled 9 tails to attack Konoha, and had a sensational battle of End Valley with Senju Hashirama. In the end, he was defeated by Senju Hashirama and died. In order to commemorate this battle, later generations. 2 large statues were built deliberately at the end of the valley. 1. Naturally it is Uchiha Madara, although with the passage of time, this name has gradually disappeared in the ninja world, and even many younger generations have never heard of it. However, in front of the shadows of their villages, the name is still lingering. But damn it, didn't the guy Uchiha Madara die decades ago? How could he appear here? The samurai leader of the Iron Kingdom, Mifune, spoke up, gritted his teeth while sweating, with a very ugly expression. There is no doubt that even in the neutral Iron Country, he has heard of the legendary ninja's name. And at the moment, as soon as his words came out, everyone present also looked at the sky dignifiedly, quite bewildered. Really, as Mifune said, Uchiha Madara, that was an antique ninja that existed before the First Ninja World War. In the Battle of End Valley, Konoha has also confirmed the death of Uchiha Madara. Taking a step back, even if he was not dead at the time. If I live to this day, I'll probably be 100 years old. Centenarians invade the Five Shadows talks and kill Fourth Raikage in seconds? This, obviously a bit too outrageous however, just when everyone was thinking about it. On the side, Onoki's face became more and more ugly, and a drop of cold sweat slipped off. He spoke slowly and lowly. My teacher, tell me. Konoha's second Hokage Senju Tobirama once created a very infamous taboo ninjutsu. That technique possesses the ability to recall the souls of the dead from the Yellow Springs, and uses living people as sacrifices to contain the souls. After that, the dead will be resurrected in the body of filthy soil. This taboo technique is called Impure World Reincarnation. Advertisement, Onoki said in a low voice. Finally, his eyes turned to the people on the opposite side. And the voice fell, everyone was dumb, and their faces were pale. This, in order to deal with the 5 shadows. The enemy even summoned the dead Uchiha Madara. Doesn't that mean? Next, they have to fight a dead existence? Everyone froze. Until a moment later, Mizukage Terumi Mei on the side raised his eyes and looked at the huge Susanoo above. Immediately, the mind was slightly condensed, his eyes gradually calmed down, and he condensed the voice. In that case, then we just need to defeat him, right? Decades ago, he could be killed by First Hokage, but now he is killed by our 5 shadows, isn't it impossible? As soon as the voice fell, this time, it was not waiting for Onoki to react. Tsunade on the side suddenly shook his head, and then looked at Terumi Mei, with a somewhat ugly expression. The Impure World Reincarnation cannot be killed. Although I haven't witnessed this forbidden technique with my own eyes, I have some understanding of it in general. Those who have been Impure World Reincarnation have a body that can be high-speed regeneration, even if the heart is pierced, they can still survive. As soon as these words fell, Terumi Mei was taken aback. The samurai Mifune on the side was obviously also startled and froze directly. This can't kill. How the hell is this then? The guards of other shadows around also froze. At this time, Onoki also nodded, and added awe-inspiringly. Princess Katsuyu is right, Impure World Reincarnation, indeed cannot be killed directly. If you want to defeat him, there are only 2 ways. The first is to find the caster of Impure World Reincarnation, and let him take the initiative to release this technique, so that the deceased can return to Wangshen. The second is to use a special sealing charm to completely seal the body. Speaking of which, Onoki let out a breath slowly, his expression suddenly serious. Next moment, an invisible air current suddenly appeared all over his body. The whole person instantly floated directly from the conference table, suspended in the air. Looking up, he said solemnly, obviously, this time the enemies are here prepared. We want to find the caster of Impure World Reincarnation and let him disarm, it's almost impossible. Therefore, the only way to go is to seal. Perhaps this time, it's time for us 5 shadows to join forces. Onoki said, looking back at Terumi Mei and Tsunade. And upon hearing this, the gazes of Terumi Mei and Tsunade also became firm in an instant. They are the shadows, advertisement the next mission has already been determined. Maybe before, the land, fire, and water were all dead enemies in the ninja war. But at the moment, they must unite to have a chance to defeat this powerful enemy in front of them. Thought of here, Tsunade suddenly turned his head and looked at Kakashi and Naruto who were aside, his eyes were solemn, and he said solemnly. Next, there may be a fierce battle here, leave it to us. You are responsible for finding other hidden enemies. Since the enemy dares to sabotage the talks, there must be more than one person. Tsunade's voice fell, both Kakashi and Naruto looked at the same time. That's right, there are definitely other hidden enemies. Realizing this, Kakashi did not hesitate and replied quickly. Understood. On the side, Naruto looked at Tsunade and said seriously. Mother-in-law, take care. The voice fell. Kakashi made eye contact with Naruto and rushed out instantly. And on the other side, except that Raikage's guards rushed to the side of Raikage. On the side of Onoki and Terumi Mei, naturally, like Tsunade, they led the guards they brought out to find other enemies. After all, the enemy I faced this time was Uchiha Madara who couldn't even beat Raikage. If you let them go, the danger will be too great. This battle, destined to belong to their 5 shadows. It's a battle to the legend, after a while. The guards brought by the 5 shadows began to disperse and set off, trying to find the enemy ambushing in the dark. And this side, Naruto originally wanted to act alone, but Kakashi forcibly stayed by his side because of danger. The 2 of them shuttled through a long snow road, exploring all the unusual surroundings. However, at the next moment, suddenly, it's like a fast cold wind passing by. A black and tall figure suddenly fell from the sky and landed in front of the 2. His black hair was flying in the wind, and a straight knife around his waist was particularly eye-catching. And in his indifferent eyes, Rinnegan, exuding lavender light. As soon as he appeared, he directly stopped Naruto and Kakashi. Chakra broke out into a dog, the aura is extremely powerful. And at this moment, after Naruto and Kakashi saw the person in front of them clearly, their pupils shrank at the same time and froze. Sasuke. Chapter 274 How strong has Sassy become? Advertisement, seeking subscription, seeing this black figure suddenly appeared in front of me. The thoughts in Naruto and Kakashi's hearts were instantly interrupted, and their brains went blank in an instant. Uchiha Sasuke. Is it really him? Wait, why does he appear here suddenly? And also, how come his lavender eyes look back? Isn't the bloodline of the Uchiha clan the Scarlet Sharingan? If it's not because this breath is too familiar to them. They couldn't even believe it, the person in front of you. It will be the Sasuke who disappeared back then. What happened to Orochimaru during the years he was abducted? Kakashi and Naruto's eyes were very complicated, and their faces became serious. But they know, the point at this moment is not at all about the change of Sasuke. Instead, his position, because, when they set off to leave Konoha village, Jiraiya once told them, Sasuke is the culprit behind the tail beast plundering incidents in major shinobu villages. If you see it, he must be taken down the first time. In other words, he is now Konoha's enemy, aware of this. Kakashi's heart sank slightly, and his face became extremely serious at 090. As a teacher, it is necessary for him to lead his students on the right path. Similarly, it is necessary for him to personally teach students who have gone astray. And judging from the speed at which Sasuke appeared just now, his strength, obviously it is no longer comparable 3 years ago. Even Kakashi, who is known as Konoha's first technician, dare not be careless. Did he slowly raise his right hand, and lift up the ninja forehead protector that he was wearing diagonally on his face, revealing his hidden left eye. Eyes opened, there is a blood succession boundary only owned by the Uchiha clan Sharingan. It was because of this eye that Kakashi of that year gained the prestige of Copy Ninja, and Sharingan Kakashi, in the ninja world. And once he lifted the forehead protector and revealed this eye, it means that he has begun to be serious. Seeing this, of course, Naruto on the side suddenly realized Kakashi's purpose. His face suddenly changed slightly, advertisement. Subsequently, as if subconsciously, he suddenly took a step and stopped in front of Kakashi. Seeing this picture, not only Kakashi, but Sasuke on the other side was stunned. And at this time, ACEG, I saw Naruto raise his head, stare at Kakashi, gritted his teeth, and grinned reluctantly. Mr. Kakashi, we shouldn't have reached a point where we have to fight. Besides, Sasuke is not necessarily our enemy. While talking, Naruto slowly turned his head, smiled stiffly and looked at Sasuke, saying, Right, Sas? Since you came to take the initiative to find us too, there must be a reason, right? Naruto's voice fell, the cold wind hits. Kakashi's expression moved slightly, and he also looked at Sasuke. He is indeed a little too nervous, that's right. As Naruto said, since Sasuke will take the initiative to come here to find them too, maybe, there really is some reason. Several people looked at each other in silence, without saying a word. And at the moment, of course, Sasuke on the opposite side also understood the situation before Byakugan. But, his expression was still like ice, without any emotions. He just looked at the two people here indifferently, and then he said indifferently. I haven't seen you in 3 years, you really haven't changed at all, Naruto. Still so stupid. Do you ask me why I am here? It's very simple. Of course I am here to take you away, for the 9 tails in you. As soon as Sasuke's indifferent voice fell. In an instant, silent, both Kakashi and Naruto coincided with their pupils tightening again, and their faces changed. This moment, it seems that the temperature of the surrounding space has dropped a lot. They didn't expect when Sasuke spoke for the first time, he directly admitted his purpose 9 tails. That's right, it can't be wrong. The fact is the same as what Jiraiya said before. Uchiha Sasuke is one of the instigators of this tail beast plundering incident. Advertisement Kakashi naturally reacted to this immediately. However, Naruto on the side had his pupils dizzy, obviously, still in shock. Thought of here, Kakashi's eyes suddenly sank, and he gritted his teeth and shouted in a low voice. Naruto, now is not the time to be distracted. Have you forgotten the advice from Master Jiraiya? The voice fell, Naruto's heart was shocked. However, before he could react, suddenly, I saw Kakashi leaping to the side, and his body rushed directly to Sasuke in front of him. At the same time, above his right hand, an extremely bright blue electric light burst out. Rakery. Kakashi's eyes condensed, and he directly attacked Sasuke. See here, Naruto wants to speak again, it's too late. Say it's too late, then it's fast. I saw Rakery in Kakashi's hand, already less than 1 meter away from Sasuke, and he could hit it at any time. However, at this moment, suddenly, boom, from above Sasuke's body, an invisible strong position suddenly burst out, slamming towards the surrounding area. Kakashi's pupils suddenly shrank when he attacked, but at such a close distance, it was no longer for him to react or dodge. I could only hear Sasuke's mouth spit out a few words indifferently. Shenluo Tianzheng. Boom! In an instant, the powerful repulsive force blasted out like an invisible giant fist, directly hitting Kakashi's body. Puff! The dull voice sounded. Kakashi's face suddenly changed, and his body instantly flew out like an arrow from the string. Seeing this picture, Naruto on the side changed his face suddenly, his pupils shrank, and his heart was shocked. What kind of technique is this, Shenluo Tianzheng? It is possible to shake Mr. Kakashi directly more than 10 meters away without Jia Yin at all? Sake Sass gave him how strong he has become. Chapter 275. Since you were obsessed with understanding, let me wake you up, seeking subscription. Advertisement. A very shocking scene, just like this happened in front of my eyes. Naruto froze on the spot. His eyes widened, his pupils squeezed, and he stared at Sasuke incredulously in front of him. He never thought of it anyway. Sasuke, who was abducted by Orochimaru for 3 years, will have soared to such an incredible level. Compared to 3 years ago, when they face Mist Shinobi together, when they don't slash, it will be a huge difference. And at the moment, at Kakashi in the distance, his pupils were also constricted, shocked. Even if it was the master who wore thousands of ninjutsu, he was called the copy ninja. At that moment, he couldn't understand it at all. This huge repulsion, what is it? Even Sharingan's insight is completely impossible to see through? Cough. Kakashi let out a low cough. The sudden impact just hit his chest, causing his breath to be directly confused. As until now, Naruto here suddenly remembered Kakashi, who was blown away. Ms. Kakashi. Naruto's face changed, turning his head to look there, and shouting anxiously. I only see the distance. Kakashi knelt on one knee, with one hand resting on the ground and one hand to his mouth, with an extremely heavy expression on his face. After hearing Naruto's words, he didn't look at it either, but still fixed his eyes on Sasuke in front of him. After a while, he said in a low voice, Sasuke, what are those eyes? Can't even my Sharingan's illusion cause any interference to it? As soon as the voice fell, Naruto on this side was startled again. Did Mrs. Kakashi just use his Sharingan illusion? It's completely useless for Sasuke, just when he was shocked and confused. Sasuke in the distance didn't have any expression fluctuations, he just raised his eyes indifferently, looked at this side, and said indifferently. Sharingan illusion? You seem to underestimate me, Kakashi. My eyes can see through even Mangekyo's Sharingan's illusion. These little tricks of yours are useless to me, and my purpose today is just Naruto and Nine Tails. I don't want to kill you. The voice fell. Advertisement. Sasuke has slowly pulled out the broken sword on his waist, and then pointed to Naruto in front of him. Don't you always want to compare with me, Ming? Come on, then, I will defeat you and pull away from Nine Tails. Then, use my way to bring real peace to the ninja world. As Sasuke said, suddenly, on the arm, the lightning-style chakra burst out in an instant, and suddenly rushed to the broken sword in his hand, forming a blue lightning blade. The momentum is extremely fierce. Quote exclamation mark. See this. Naruto's face finally became serious. He gritted his teeth slightly, clenched his fists a little unwillingly, his eyes drooping, gritted his teeth as if talking to himself. But damn it, obviously, I have been looking for you for so long, just to bring you back to Konoha, back to the 7th class. Unexpectedly, you would actually take this astray. Then, since you are obsessed with it, just let me wake you up. Oh, the voice hasn't fallen. Suddenly, Naruto's body and chakra also broke out. Next moment, he jumped out instantly and rushed towards Sasuke in front of him. Kakashi here sees this picture, his face suddenly stiffened. What's the situation? Didn't Naruto notice that Sasuke's abilities are completely different? After I was hit by that attack, he didn't realize that something was wrong? No wrong. Naruto is such a character. Even if he realizes that something is wrong, he will still be desperate because he wants to restore Sasuke's fetters too much. But damn it, Kakashi's heart is extremely anxious. After all, before coming, Jiraiya and Tsunade had already repeatedly explained to him. Even if you encounter an enemy, you must never let Naruto and the enemy one-to-one. Because the enemy is very likely to have some kind of power to forcibly pull the beast. Just like 10 years ago, the Nine Tails chaos that happened in Konoha village is the same. Back then, Nine Tails was pulled out of Uzumaki Kushina's body by a mysterious person with a mask. According to the calculations of Jiraiya and others, that mysterious person is very likely to be someone in the group of Uchiha Obito and Sasuke today. 0. For flowers. In other words, even if the Sasuke master in front of me has used the method of pulling out the beast, it is not impossible. Advertisement therefore, of course Kakashi can't just sit back and let Naruto solo with him. In case the 9 tails in his body are also taken away. So, the consequences will be unimaginable. Kakashi suddenly got up with an ugly face, and tried to rush forward. However, the moment he stood up, suddenly, the mutation happened again. I saw a strange and powerful chakra breath suddenly appeared in the air in front of him. Kakashi suddenly shook, and quickly stopped his pace, and then pulled back and opened the distance. For a man like him who has experienced many battles, of course, the situation before Byakugan is not right. 0.0. And just at the moment he retreated the distance. Suddenly, the air seemed to be distorted by some invisible force, spinning like Uzumaki. And then, in this space Uzumaki, a black figure gradually appeared. This, time and space ninjutsu. Kakashi's pupils shrank suddenly and froze involuntarily. This weird feeling. It's definitely time-space ninjutsu. Is it the enemy? Kakashi's face sank, and the chakra in his hand was already condensed and ready to condense. If it is confirmed that it is an enemy, then, he will attack directly without hesitation. However, next second, Kakashi was completely dumbfounded by this condensed figure. He is dressed in black and has short hair. The orange one-eye Uzumaki mask covers the face, concealing the face. However, on the right eye, there was a bright blood red blooming. That is Sharingan, one of the blood inheritance limits unique to the Uchiha clan. The moment I saw this appearance, almost instantly, Kakashi stared blankly, and murmured involuntarily. Take Obito, Chapter 276. Once an old friend, but now an enemy, seeking subscription. Advertisement. Kakashi blurted out the words, the surrounding temperature dropped 10 degrees in an instant. This familiar and unfamiliar name, after speaking from his mouth, the voice seemed a little dry. This moment, he no longer knows whether to be shocked or emotional, or sad. This best friend who died to save him, it was originally the deepest obsession in Kakashi's heart. However, since then, everything has changed. When Kakashi finished his mission in Fire Country, he originally wanted to find a commercial street and buy Jiraiya's latest, Intimate Paradise. Unexpectedly, the purchase of the last one led to a visit by a teenager who was also a fan of the book. Naturally, the boy Kakashi didn't know him, but of course I know now. He is an extremely powerful ninja from Rain Shinobi Village, whose name is Qing Yu. And just in the mouth of Qing Yu, for the first time, Kakashi heard the news that Obito is still alive. There is even information that Obito was brainwashed by an old man and went astray. To be honest, when I heard these, apart from shock, Kakashi was naturally reluctant to believe it. After all, it started when I was a child. Uchiha Obito showed a very cheerful personality, extremely strong resilience, and a desire for Hokage. For such a person, Kakashi does not believe that he will be black in any way. Therefore, after that, Kakashi began to follow the characteristics of the Uzumaki mask, mentioned by Qing Yu, trying to find the leader and confront him. However, as the years passed, he still had no chance to see this close friend. Until more than a month ago, Jiraiya brought even worse intelligence. Uchiha Obito not only is blackened already, but even Sasuke with blackened started a mysterious terrorist attack plan. They sneaked into the major ninja villages, and with extremely tough methods, they took away the tail beast Jinchuriki in the major ninja villages. So far, except Konoha's 9 tails Jinchuriki Naruto, which is still intact, all Jinchuriki have been captured. Even the killer bee from the famous A-B combination in Cloud Shinobi Village was no match for them and was captured instead. It is precisely because of this that this time the 5 Shadows talks took place. Advertisement: if Kakashi can't completely trust Qing Yu from Rain Shinobi Village. Then, Jiraiya, he couldn't believe it. As a great ninja with Konoha, Jiraiya once educated 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. There is no doubt that he has strong credibility. Since even he said it in an almost certain tone, it must be very close to the facts. Therefore, even if Kakashi didn't want to believe it in his heart, he had to force himself to accept this fact. And at the moment, what he didn't know was, when Obito in front heard the name blurted out of his mouth, it was obvious that he froze instantly. His expression was stunned for a moment, and he was directly at the same place. What's the situation? This guy just called out my name directly? Who did this TM? Isn't my identity only known by the Akatsuki members? Why would Kakashi know? Isn't it special that Konoha village has also dealt with the people of Akatsuki? Just when Obito was shocked, suddenly, bass. 2 winds sounded, and then, the chakra breath came instantly. Next moment, only 2 familiar figures came to Kakashi's side. As soon as Kakashi's eyes moved, he recognized it in an instant. It was the 2 guards of Third Tsuchikage in Iwagakure, terracotta and black. And at the moment the 2 descended. Of course, his gaze immediately turned to the masked man Uchiha Obito in the snow on the opposite side. The expressions of the 2 are obviously very solemn, and they are waiting in full battle. After a while, the black soil on the side spoke solemnly. Kakashi-san, we just rushed over when we noticed the atmosphere of fighting here. You seem to be injured, are you okay? Heard that, Kakashi was taken aback for a moment, then shook his head and said, fine. He just saw the 2 ninjas from the land come, and he was in a trance for a moment before he realized that everyone is now on the united front. Advertisement: the existence of different fronts, on the contrary, is the masked man on the opposite side. After confirming that Kakashi's injury was correct, Heitu's gaze turned to the masked man on the opposite side again, and the movement in his hand did not relax at all, and he said in a condensed voice, who is this guy? The voice fell. Kakashi's breathing stopped for a while, and slightly stopped 0. His eyes looked forward. The Sharingan with the masked man Obito suddenly looked at each other. This moment, it's as if time has stopped. Kakashi's eyes shook, and then he lowered his eyes slightly bitterly. Yes, who is in front of you? A dead friend? Reborn enemy? Kakashi has been difficult to judge in a short period of time. But, if you don't take advantage of this opportunity to figure it out, you may never know the truth. And to figure it out, he must be defeated here. Just as many years ago, in the commercial street, the golden pupil boy in Rain Shinobi Village smiled and said, if someday in the future, where did you see the words of a man wearing an orange Uzumaki mask who also called himself Uchiha Madara? Then, don't hesitate, try to shoot Reikari directly at his face. Because, after smashing that mask, you will probably see a familiar face. Thought of here, Kakashi raised his eyes again, and his heart had become firm again. He spoke to the silent Obito in front of him, with a calm tone not seen in 4.6 before, and said lightly. Once, it was an old friend, this time it's the enemy. The moment the voice fell, bass, without any hesitation, Kakashi stepped forward and shot away like a sharp arrow. And on his right hand, the dazzling blue thunder light, like a blade that destroys everything, exploded with a terrifying aura, directly blasting at the mask of Uchiha Obito on the opposite side. Chapter 277 Worthy of being Sharingan Kakashi, subscription required. Advertisement: it's too late to say, then soon, in an instant, the sharp blue electric light was like an arrow from the string, directly attacking the masked man on the opposite side. The rushing thunder and lightning passed through the air, and made a sizzling, anxious sound. The bright arc flashed with a strong sense of killing. This blow, obviously it has surpassed the previous trick he used to face Uchiha Sasuke. It's absolutely serious, the power to crush the opponent's mask. And at this moment, the red earth and black earth on the side suddenly shrank and shook their pupils. What happened? He actually attacked directly like this? Just now I was clearly talking about old friends and enemies. At this moment, there is no hesitation. Forward, in fact, from what Kakashi said just now. The terracotta and black soil have already noticed a detail. That is, the masked man in front of him is most likely a ninja from Konoha village before, and he might even have worked with Hitaki Kakashi before, otherwise he would not be called an old friend. And now, since it has become an enemy, in other words, is the person in front of him from Konoha's rebellion? Spray, even facing his former companions, he was able to make 2 strong blows so decisively. Sure enough, it is only possible for a ninja who has experienced many battles. As expected of Sharingan Kakashi, the Red Earth and Black Earth couldn't help but admire in their hearts. However, their hands are naturally not idle, and they are also ready to raise their hands to assist Kakashi in suppressing the enemy. However, the moment they raised their hands, suddenly at the same time, they felt something was wrong. The faces of the two changed at the same time, and many more. What's going on? Faced with Kakashi's attack, this guy didn't evade at all. That's right. I saw at this moment, Kakashi's Raikiri is less than 10 centimeters away from hitting the masked man. And the black man wearing the mask still remained motionless, as if ignoring him. And at the moment, Kakashi himself naturally condensed, and his pupils shrank slightly. What happened? Didn't it react? However, at the same time that this idea emerged in him, the next moment, the change happened again. What? I saw Raikiri in his hand, at the moment when he hit the orange mask, it seemed as if there was nothing, and it penetrated directly. Not only that, even his entire body passed directly through the opponent's body in an instant. As if passing through the air, advertisement. After seeing this weird picture, not only Kakashi, even the black soil and the red soil watching the battle behind him suddenly shrank their pupils, and their expressions changed drastically. What happened? Impossible. Kakashi actually penetrated completely through his body. Difficult. Is it an illusion? The black soil and the terracotta looked at each other, and they both noticed a trace of weirdness in each other's eyes. However, in just an instant, they immediately rejected this judgment. Wrong. This can't be an illusion at all. It is very likely that it is some kind of mysterious blood succession limit or secret technique that has not been seen before. Thought of here, the expressions of the two of them immediately became more solemn. Originally, they thought that there was a 3-on-1 situation, and it was bound to crush the enemy. But did not expect, the enemy actually possesses such a weird technique. Judging from the blow of Kakashi just now, this masked man seems to be able to transform his body into an air-like nature very quickly, so as to achieve the effect of immune attack. Thus, it's too much trouble after all, the two masters of them are all physical attack ninjutsu. If they want to fight head-on, they will definitely be unable to use them. Unless you find a way to find the weakness of this technique and crack it. Aware of this, the black soil and the terracotta decided to try it out. However, just when they tried to shoot, suddenly, Kakashi, who could only hear not far away, suddenly looked over, gritted his teeth and called in a low voice. This guy, leave it to me. Thank you too to support Naruto in the distance, he may not be able to defeat the enemy. Kakashi gritted his teeth. Originally, he wanted to explain the importance of Naruto's identity, but it doesn't seem to be the time now. And at the moment, the terracotta and the black earth were stunned when they heard it. Immediately, after looking at each other, he suddenly reacted. The one named Naruto in Kakashi's mouth, of course they do. It was one of the two guards who followed 5th Hokage Tsunade in this Five Shadows meeting, but he was obviously much younger. Probably came to accompany Hokage to meet the world, so the strength weakness is normal. In fact, as soon as they came over, they found the atmosphere of chakra fighting in the distance, but because they noticed the existence of Kakashi first, they ignored the distance. I just remembered now, the fighting atmosphere over there should be the Uzumaki Naruto. Now, facing the same enemies, their countries stood in the same camp for a short time, and naturally they wanted to help. So, after a quick eye contact between the two, decided to let Akadu come to help, and Haidu stayed here with Kakashi, trying to figure out how to crack the masked man in front of him. Take care of yourself. Akatsuki glanced at the black soil and Kakashi not far away, then nodded sinkingly, and rushed out to the side. Advertisement however, to everyone's surprise, the masked man in front of him didn't even mean the slightest obstruction. Until the figure of Kaito disappeared in the distance, he still remained motionless. The scene suddenly fell silent, the cold wind blows. The snow in the country of iron is bitterly cold. Kakashi and Kurosu stood together again, facing Obito in front of him. In their hearts, naturally, I was thinking about finding out Obito's weakness. However, at this moment, Obito on the opposite side, under the mask, suddenly let out a deep laugh. Ha ha ha. You are really full of confidence, Kakasichi. As soon as the voice fell, Kakashi and Black Earth were taken aback for a moment, and then their eyes sank, not understanding the meaning of what he said. However, not waiting for them to think carefully. But seeing Obito suddenly raised his hand, placed it on his right eye, raised a weird smile, and made a low voice as before, saying, "Why do you think I didn't help Uchiha Sasuke? Is it because I underestimated the 090 Uzumaki Naruto?" Wrong. That is because, Uchiha Sasuke today has already undergone transformation. An ordinary Nine-Tails Jinchuriki does not need anyone's help at all, he can crush it effortlessly. For example, like this, so far, Obito turned his head slowly, looking at the sky over there indifferently. And at the moment, Kakashi and Kuroto naturally followed his gaze and looked over. However, at this moment, suddenly, amidst the white wind and snow, a huge purple monster suddenly broke through the ground, like a mountain attacking. The huge body full of oppression instantly set off countless storms and suddenly spread towards the surroundings. Boom! The deafening explosion sounded, shocking everything around. Kakashi and Black Soil Duo frozen on the spot, and at the moment. In the distant wind and snow, Sasuke dressed in black stood in the sky. Condescendingly, his eyes stared at Naruto indifferently. The hands are knotted. The words have been faintly spit out in the mouth. Summoning technique Gedo statue. P.S. I didn't expect it, I cheated the corpse. The author Go said before that the plot should be finished well, and he won't break his promise. Chapter 278 The Battle of Fate in the Snow, The Golem Sasuke's Nine Tails Naruto, subscription required. Advertisement boom. The explosion was deafening, and amidst the white wind and snow, the ugly giant monster instantly tore the tranquility in the air. Coming to this snow country with an absolute oppressive attitude. And at the moment, in the lower part of the battlefield, Naruto, who was covered in bloodline, was raising his head with difficulty. Summoning surgery, Gedo statue. Hello. What is this? Naruto's eyes were hollow, and the last hope in his heart seemed to be shattered directly at this moment. This powerful sense of oppression, he even stopped his breathing involuntarily. This moment, he finally had to admit 3 years later, Sasuke's strength has already surpassed himself too much. Too much. When this thought emerged, Naruto gritted his teeth unwillingly. In fact, when the battle just started, of course Naruto also discovered that Kakashi over there was stopped by the mysterious masked man. But he couldn't get out of him to see Kakashi's situation. Because, what he is facing, it was a stormy attack from Uchiha Sasuke. At the beginning, Naruto was able to cope with it reluctantly. He still uses the basic tactics of Shadow Clone plus Body Replacement Technique plus Rasengan that he is good at. After all, this tactic has been practiced since a long time ago, and in the 3 years of practicing with Jiraiya, he has become more proficient. Even in the face of Kakashi, he was able to remain undefeated in a short period of time. However, he was incompetent and didn't expect anything. This own set of tactics, in front of Sasuke with brand new eyes, hardly has any effect. His weird ninjutsu called Shinra Tianjung is able to force everything around him to be arbitrarily lined up. And Vientiane Sky Yin can attract Naruto in an instant. Coupled with his skillful Chidori, Naruto once fell into a desperate situation of passive beating. Although Naruto also noticed that Sasuke's abilities seemed to be separated by time. However, when he finally used Shadow Clone to create an attack gap and used the Wind-style Spiral Shuriken, he secretly developed. Unexpectedly, in a blink of an eye, it was absorbed by Sasuke in an extremely strange way. Advertisement: the attack didn't work at all, and now Sasuke is absolutely overwhelming, and summoning produced this monster named Gedo statue. Its terrifying sense of oppression is completely unheard of. Almost, it gave Naruto a feeling of 9 tails. Do not, that feeling, even above 9 tails. This moment, Naruto finally realized, in the past 3 years, when he was still complacent because he developed the Spiral Shuriken. Sasuke, an absolute transformation has already taken place. Already, it's not the same person at all. Naruto gritted his teeth unwillingly, clenched his fists, and looked up at Sasuke standing on the Gedo statue. The two were low and high, one was covered in bloodline, and the other was almost harmless. One face was angry and unwilling, while the other was indifferent like ice and snow. This moment, the world seemed to be still. Next moment, Sasuke finally spoke. He stood on the Gedo statue, looked down indifferently, and said indifferently, "There are so many, what is your look? Desperate? Faced with the invincible me, and the eyes of the loser that emerge? If this is the case, then, farewell now." While talking, Sasuke raised his hands faintly, preparing for the seal. Yes, what he has to do, of course, it is to release the technique that Uchiha Madara gave him. Golem Lock. It can summon the chakra chain directly from the mouth of the Gedo statue, pull the tail beast directly out of Jinchurikika's body, and end the battle. Then, everything will come to an end in the rebirth of 10 tails. This ninja world that has produced countless conspiracies, hatred, pain, parting, and death can finally come to an end. Thinking of this, Sasuke's eyes became more determined. However, just as his hands were about to close, suddenly, advertisement: I saw an incomparably terrifying aura on Naruto's body below. Like a beast invading. In the next moment, the violent crimson chakra burst out of his body in an instant. Boom. See this? Sasuke's heart suddenly stopped, his eyes condensed. This breath, is it the 9 tails in him? This feeling of deja vu made Sasuke unable to help but fall into the memory in a short time. Thinking back to that year, when they were on the mission in the Nation of Waves, they were faced with the attack of No More Cut and White Peach Ground. That time, Naruto once exploded with the power of 9 tails, thus saving everyone. However, this time, it was different. The two of them stood on utter opposites. Sasuke was silent. At this time, Naruto slowly raised his eyes, and his scarlet pupils were like demon foxes, burning with angry flames. He stared at Sasuke above, gritted his teeth tightly, chakra burst into a burst, and said, "Sasuke, I will never let you go this way. Even if you break your hand or even the bones on your body, I will definitely stop you here." The voice hasn't fallen. The fierce 9 tails chakra instantly ignited like a monstrous flame, blooming in the white snow, and a terrifying picture. The violent wind swept everything around, and the phantom of 9 tails and the outer demon, Noro, were facing each other, like a picture scroll of hell. And at the moment, Rock Shinobi, the ninja terracotta rushing over from below, froze for a while. What's the situation? The kid named Uzumaki Naruto who said that is not strong. It's actually 9 tails. This dog, this moment. Kaito didn't even know if he should make a move. Because now, from the perspective of momentum alone, the fierceness of 9 tails erupted by Uzumaki Naruto is even on the opposite Gedo statue. Chapter 279 Want to escape from my Uchiha Madara? Seeking subscription? Advertisement at the same time, on the main battlefield on the other side of the Iron Kingdom. The 4 shadows of fire, thunder, earth, and water, facing Susanoo Uchiha Madara above the sky, stood in an extremely solemn formation. Although they just tried to break this deadlock through cooperation. However, it was forcibly interrupted by Uchiha Madara with an overwhelming force of terror. So far, they haven't even touched Uchiha Madara's body once. Not to mention, he is still a bug after Impure World reincarnation. It cannot be killed, it can only be sealed, therefore. 4 shadows can be said to have fallen into a somewhat battered situation. Original, they are also thinking about the situation of one more fight, maybe they can form a suppressive force against Uchiha Madara. After all, it is well known that Impure World reincarnation cannot display their strongest strength before birth due to the mismatch of body and soul. Therefore, even if the enemy in front of you is the rumored terrifying Uchiha Madara, it will also be affected by Impure World reincarnation. As a result, the strength is greatly reduced, thus. With the 4 shadows joining hands, it is not impossible to defeat him. However, when the war really started for a while, they were all dumbfounded. What the hell? This filthy soil Uchiha Madara is sure that the strength has been weakened? Why can he be so easy to play against Sisha in the case of Impure World reincarnation? 090. After a while, the seeing present finally understood. Even though Impure World reincarnation has a weakening effect, Zizibo Madara's peak strength is strong enough. As the saying goes, when the upper limit of a person's level is too high, even if it is going downhill, it will take a long time. In other words, although Uchiha Madara was unable to exert his full strength, but it is still not something they can easily deal with. Next, they must use all their strength to face this old legend with absolute seriousness. No doubt, at this moment, the 4 shadows of them all thought of this. At the same time, his complexion also became particularly dignified. Raikage, who was previously knocked down by Sharingan's illusion, has naturally adjusted its state at this moment and is waiting for it. However, at this moment, suddenly one boom. A loud explosion suddenly sounded from the snow in the distance. Immediately after, a huge purple-brown monster stood up from the ground, like a roar from the sky, and let out a roar. Roar, what? The seeing and the others at the scene froze involuntarily when they looked in that direction. Advertisement, what's the situation? What is that? Summoning beast? Or some tail beast? However, just when they were shocked and confused, suddenly, another horrible chakra breath full of powerful aggressiveness burst out. And this time, although no powerful monster appeared, in front of the purple monster, there was a huge scarlet chakra that was extremely terrifying. This chakra is like being bound by some invisible force, gradually forming an illusory body. And at the moment of seeing this body, this side, all the people present are undoubtedly stiff. To say that the purple summoning monster over there is still unable to identify its identity, this time no one will not recognize it. The appearance of the scarlet chakra fox and the 9 tails swaying in the sky. All have stated its identity without a doubt, 9 tails. The final tail beast belonging to Konoha village. Similarly, it is also the undisputed strongest existence among the 9 big-tailed beasts in the ninja world. But why does it appear here, at this time? In addition to Tsunade, the rest of the 3 shadows, even including the leader of the Iron Kingdom Mifune, were all stunned. They clearly remember, Tsunade only brought 2 guards, one Hitaki Kakashi and one Uzumaki Naruto. Could it be that named Uzumaki Naruto is Konoha's 9 tails Jinchuriki? Aware of this, everyone suddenly thought it was very possible. As a Hokage, Tsunade definitely wants to protect Jinchuriki in the village, so he will take the initiative to bring him to the scene of the 5 shadows talks as a guard. But did not expect, the intelligence seems to have been learned by the enemy. Therefore, only this sudden attack occurred. Everyone looked at Tsunade. And at the moment, ACEG, the surprise in Tsunade's eyes just confirmed their guess. The other side, above the sky, Uchiha Madara and Susanoo also turned her eyes, looking in that direction. A faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. NS, Gedo statue. It seems that Uchiha Sasuke has found the location of 9 tails Jinchuriki. This moment, Madara naturally understood the situation. After all, advertisement at the beginning, this battle plan was put forward by him. First, it is absolutely responsible for discovering the location of the 5 shadows talk and 9 tails Jinchuriki. After that, he, Uchiha Madara, personally took action, destroying the progress of the 5 shadows talks with absolute power, and suppressing the 5 shadows in an instant. This gives Sasuke an opportunity to face 9 tails Jinchuriki directly without confronting the 5 shadows. And with the assistance of Uchiha Obito, complete the deprivation of 9 tails. Thus, start the revival of 10 tails. Now that the Gedo statue was summoning out, and 9 tails chakra also appeared. It means that Sasuke should be fighting 9 tails Jinchuriki. If not unexpected, soon after, 9 tails will be swallowed by Sasuke's golem lock just like the previous tail beasts. Therefore, Uchiha Madara looked at the four shadows below again. Now, the plan has already reached the most critical step, and he naturally will not let these people go there to make trouble. As long as I continue to suppress the four shadows. Using the power of Uchiha Sasuke's Rinnegan to cooperate with the Geto statue, coupled with Uchiha Obito, to deal with a small nine tails, it is completely easy. However, just when he thought of this, among the people below, Tsunade has naturally thought of it, because, just before coming, Jiraiya once told him, the real purpose of the enemy is to collect the power of the nine-tailed beasts, thus starting the Fourth Ninja World War. Now, if even the last tail beast, Nine Tails, is taken away, the consequences will be unimaginable, thought of here. Tsunade gritted his teeth and rushed out, she knows. With Kakashi's power alone, it may not be possible to ensure the safety of Naruto. And at the moment she left, the other three shadows next to him naturally reacted, and immediately understood Tsunade's purpose. Of course they are not stupid, understand that Tsunade's step is helpless. Therefore, he decided to buy time for Tsunade temporarily, and at the same time, he raised his head and looked at Uchiha Madara above the dirty soil. Now, as long as the three shadows drag Uchiha Madara and let Tsunade save Nine Tails Jinchuriki, they will be able to reverse the situation. But at the same time that such thoughts were pouring in their hearts. But see the sky above, Uchiha, the dirty soil in Susanoo, suddenly showed a scornful smile at the corner of his mouth, and said indifferently. Too naive, seeing. Just like that, do you want to escape in my Uchiha Madara's hands? Wood Style Multiple Wood Clone Technique. Chapter 280 The Four Shadows Team Up versus the Legendary Existence, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement. Cold words came from Uchiha Madara's mouth. Next moment, everyone present was shocked, because at this moment, suddenly, in all directions above the sky, dozens of Uchiha Madara's figures appeared at the same time. These figures, without exception, all raise the right hand and finger the knot. Then, next moment, the violent chakra breath is like the ocean, overturning from the sky. Aware of this, all the people present were shocked, and their hearts were shocked. That's right. They suddenly remembered. Although Impure World Reincarnation loses the peak strength of his lifetime, he gains an immortal body and an inexhaustible chakra. In other words, next, Uchiha Madara under multiple avatars will have the extremely terrifying chakra. But at the same time, naturally, their hearts are also very confused. Wood Style Clone. Isn't Wood Style the escape technique of the legendary ninja god Senju Hashirama? It is said that all over the world, only he can use this technique. Even Tsunade, a descendant of First Hokage, cannot use the powerful Wood Style. And now, Madara of Impure World Reincarnation can operate Wood Style so freely? However, at this moment, it's too much for them to think about it anymore. Tsunade gritted his teeth in an instant, tried to speed up, and rushed out of the enclosure of Uchiha Madara's clone. She knows, Madara used this technique to intercept it precisely because she realized she was going to rescue. Therefore, it is even more impossible for him to succeed. Thought of here, a powerful chakra burst out of Tsunade's body. At the same time, he raised the fist in his hand and hit the Uchiha Madara clone in front of the interception with one punch. However, at this moment, Uchiha Madara above the sky, but once again made an indifferent voice, saying, I can't help myself, see my strength, Susanoo. Dang. The moment the voice fell, suddenly, I saw all the wood-style avatars in front, and suddenly a majestic blue chakra appeared suddenly, rising to the sky. And the next moment, all chakras condense in an instant, turning into a giant figure, directly surrounding the inner wood-style clone Uchiha Madara. Next moment, the surroundings of dozens of wood-style clones showed such a state at the same time. The moment I saw this picture clearly, everyone present was shocked almost at the same time, and their pupils shrank. The picture in front of them makes them chill from behind. This is Susanoo. Uchiha Madara after the wood-style clone actually put the incomplete version of Susanoo directly on each clone. In this way, whether they are attack power or defense power, they will receive an unparalleled bonus. Advertisement. Thought of here, everyone present showed a ghostly look. Is this the power of Uchiha Madara? Even the clone can be tyrannical to such an unreasonable level? And at this time, the Tsunade who rushed out could no longer stop. Although she was aware of the thorny situation in front of her, she still just gritted her teeth and slammed the Susanoo clone in front of her with a punch. Boom! Rage-filled Chakra's fist collided with the blue sequel clone. Moment, there was a terrible explosion, bang. At the same time, the terrifying storm immediately spread to the surroundings. And on top of the Suzu avatar in front of him, a slight crack suddenly appeared. Upon seeing this, Tsunade gritted his teeth suddenly, his eyes condensed, and his full strength poured out. Boom. Next moment, this Susanoo clone was instantly broken by Tsunade's fist and smashed directly. And this wood-style clone, also under Tsunade's fist, was instantly defeated, flew, and dissipated into smoke. Seeing this picture, the people below suddenly showed a surprised look. Hiss. Broken? Just one punch actually has this kind of power? Everyone exclaimed. On the other hand, Oyumu's eyes flickered, revealing an unexpected expression, and said with emotion. As expected of the descendants of First Hokage, the Princess Katsuyu's weird power is still so appalling. Obviously, he already knew something about Tsunade's strength. And 4th Raikage and 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei over there naturally showed indescribable expressions. At the same time, above the sky, Uchiha Madara and Susanoo saw this scene, but only raised his eyes slightly and said to himself. Humph. As expected of Hashirama's granddaughter, did she inherit that guy's weird power? But, if that's the case, it's too far. While talking, suddenly, I saw the 6 avatars Suzuo from below, suddenly rushing at the same time, and once again surrounded the Tsunade that had rushed out. Tsunade's face changed, and she had to freeze her body. Of course she understood, in this situation, Madara would never let her go like this. But, no matter how she kills these sequel clones, Uchiha Madara will not have any negative effects at all. After all, he is now in impure world reincarnation state. Chakra has no consumption. Such a clone, even after it is eliminated, he can summon a lot of them again. If this continues, finally, advertisement it was them who were exhausted by their physical strength and chakra. Thought of here, Tsunade gritted his teeth and looked in Naruto's direction, with a trace of unbearable and anxiety in his eyes. 0. Seeking flowers in the next moment, she gritted her teeth and looked in the direction of Sanning again, and shouted. No, this method can't escape the siege at all. We must find a way to solve the Uchiha Madara in front of us before we can turn the tide of the battle. Tsunade said loudly. The 3 of Tsuchikage Raikage and Mizukage here, don't you know? This time the enemy, it seems that the main force is the enemy who captured 9 tails, but in fact, the opponent is relying on the Uchiha Madara. If there is no Madara, with the power of their 4 shadows, no matter what kind of enemy they face, they can definitely protect the safety of the young 9 tails Jinchurikage. It will not fall into such a passive situation, but how easy is it to deal with Uchiha Madara, the so-called legend? Not a false name, it is the existence accumulated by countless achievements. And Uchiha Madara in front of me, 0. It is the only existence in this world that can be called a legend. There are 4 shadows, except for the real teamwork, there is no possibility of winning in the slightest. Thought of here, Onoki's eyes suddenly condensed, he looked at Tsunade over there and shouted sharply. Princess Katsuyu, in that case, let's really join hands. First defeat Madara in front of you and then consider the distant 9 tails Jinchuriki. The voice fell, Tsunade's eyes gleamed, and he naturally understood. Then, she gave up the direction to Naruto, but just jump. Turning back to Sanning's side, they gathered together again. No doubt, this time, they have thoroughly made their determination to fight back. And at this time, above the sky, Uchiha Madara watched everything coldly, the expression on his face was still like a frozen lake, without a trace. It's like a god overlooking the earth, without any emotion. In the bottom, Mizukage Terumi Mei looked at the figures condensing Ishin around her and couldn't help but a strange smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, and then smiled softly. I didn't expect it. The shadows of Ninamura who have been enemies with each other for decades will have the day when they will join forces again to fight against the enemy. However, at the moment when her voice just fell. Suddenly, above the distant sky, suddenly there was a deafening explosion. Boom. Chapter 281 10 Tails Revives. The Real Moon Eye, subscription required. Advertisement boom. The deafening explosion suddenly spread. And above the sky in the distance, I saw a huge dark purple chakra chain, which instantly rushed out of the gray monster's mouth. Its Gedo statue. That momentum, like a broken bamboo, swayed everything around. Even the opposite 9 tails chakra, which was originally as turbulent as a wave, seemed extremely weak at this moment. Then, in the gaze of almost everyone, the dark purple chain seems to pass through the target accurately and freezes. Seeing this, the eyes of Uchiha Madara in the sky showed instant joy. Success! Did the golem lock successfully capture 9 tails? As the person who taught Sasuke this technique, Madara knew the details of this technique without a doubt. However, the Seeing, Sanchuan and others on the ground were completely reluctant to force them. This kind of magic, they have never heard of it before. 090. No, it's not right. It should be said that it is about the gray summoning beast, they're all unheard of. But, Rao is so, they naturally still realized that something was wrong. After all, since the battle between 9 tails and Gedo statue just now, the movement has been very loud, which is normal. But now it is surprisingly quiet, this weird silence. It is no different from the atmosphere before the storm. It's chilling, really, next moment, just when everyone is watching. Suddenly, I saw that above the deep purple chain, a crimson red-like flame suddenly appeared as chakra. And, it seems that it is going against the direction of the chain, rushing towards the golem's mouth. And with the passage of time, a large number of crimson chakras were all swallowed up by the purple monsters. See here, no matter how stupid the Seeing, Sanchuan and others are, it is impossible to guess it. That gray monster is devouring 9 tails, and that chain. It is the medium for performing the devouring technique. Seeing the moment here, 4th Raikage Eye, who was already very grumpy, suddenly became angry, his veins violent, and his eyes widened. Advertisement the boundless anger was surging with thunder and lightning all over. He finally understood why was his younger brother Killer Bee lost to a little-known Konoha rebellious kid. Originally the other party has hidden this kind of technique to restrain the tail beast. Needless to say, the person who is facing Naruto in the distance at this moment is definitely Uchiha Sasuke. And the original Killer Bee must have been taken away by that guy because of this trick. Thought of here, Raikage naturally can't sit still. He gritted his teeth abruptly and shouted in a deep voice, a whole thing. Next moment, boom! With the unfolding of lightning-style chakra mode, his whole body instantly exploded with blue thunder. The next moment, between the violent winds, his figure burst out like an electric light, aptly named, Blue Lightning. Seeing this scene, Tsunade, Onoki and others next to it naturally reacted. Raikage's goal is obviously the enemy over there. Because he wanted to avenge his younger brother Killer Bee, at this moment, as a shadow, he temporarily lost his mind and gave up working together to deal with the reincarnation Uchiha Madara in front of him, but chose Uchiha Sasuke in the distance. But of course they can understand this. After all, the reason why the Five Shadows talks was launched this time can be said to be almost entirely because of Raikage's own personal enmity. Therefore, at this moment, he made this move, and it was entirely reasonable. It's too late to say, then soon, I saw the angry thunder and lightning burst on Raikage's body, and with a violent palm, he blasted the wood-style Susao clone that was blocking him violently. A slight crack appeared on the blue chakra barrier, and this Susao clone tried to get closer again. However, the speed of Raikage is not a joke, base. In an instant, it was like thunder and lightning, and in an instant broke through the encirclement of the wood-style Susa clone. From beginning to end, he clenched his teeth and closed his eyes, relying only on chakra's induction to discern the direction. Obviously, because he was hit by the opponent's Sharingan illusion when facing Uchiha Madara earlier, he had to guard at this moment. At this time, after seeing this picture, Uchiha Madara not only did not have the slightest surprise, on the contrary, there was a frantic smile on his face as if he was holding a winning ticket. He took no action. Neither did he control the Susao avatar to stop it like just now, nor did Jian issue an attack. Because he knows, no matter how fast Raikage is, it is too late to pass it now. Sasuke has successfully driven the Gedo statue and swallowed the 9 tails over there. In other words, the legendary 10 tails is about to recover. Not to mention Raikage, even if all the 4 shadows in front of him rushed past, it was only the target of 10 tails practice. Advertisement thought of here, Madara suddenly turned her face away, and looked aside in a certain direction imperceptibly. And on the ground in that direction, a black figure slowly protruded out of the ground, revealing a pitch-black head. Its eyes were hollow, but the corners of its mouth showed a strange smile. It is the number 1 dog leg, Black Zetsu, he at this moment. After seeing Uchiha Madara's expression, I immediately understood what he meant. It's time to get ready, absolutely zero, that's right. Their mission this time is of course more than that simple. Just letting Uchiha Sasuke resuscitate 10 tails can indeed deal a cruel blow to the 4 shadows in front of you, but it cannot build a perfect new world. In other words, as long as the pattern of the ninja world is not broken, the cruelty will be carried out again and again. Therefore, only that technique can end everything. Its name is Infinite Tsukuyomi. It is also the real Eyes of the Moon plan. Madara and Ju's plan is very simple. First, use a superficial plan to fool Uchiha Obito and Sasuke to work. Let them catch the 9-tailed beasts and successfully resurrect 10 tails. And next, it's Black Zetsu's turn. It will take advantage of Uchiha Sasuke's attention, attack him with a heart-wrenching attack, and instantly gain control of his body. In this way, he can use his body to display the round revolving heaven technique to resurrect Uchiha Madara. And then, Madara can take away the dead Sasuke's Rinnegan and start the real Infinite Tsukuyomi. These are the plans set by Uchiha Madara, and Black Zetsu himself naturally has a deeper idea. But they all have a common idea. That is to say, only Uchiha Madara can ensure the foolproofness of this plan. Therefore, it is necessary to sacrifice Sasuke, after getting Madara's instruction. Absolutely immediately sank again, merged into the ground, and 4.6 disappeared. Madara raised her eyes again and looked towards the Gedo statue in the distance, revealing an unfathomable smile. Next, entangling with the 4 shadows has no meaning. Sneak attack Sasuke with Ju, become 10 tails Jinchuriki, and then turn on Infinite Tsukuyomi, which is the business. Thought of here, Madara didn't even look directly at the 4 shadows below, so she directly controlled Susanoo and flew away in that direction. Chapter 282 The Truth Emerges, the culprit of the 9 tails chaos. Advertisement, what's the situation, flew away. Are you going to run away, that guy, above the ground? A group of samurai members of the Iron Kingdom looked at the filthy soil Madara above the sky, and they all guessed. They almost only dared to watch the situation here from a distance. But even so, but still can feel the powerful aura emanating from this enemy. And the blue chakra armed with a huge overwhelming deterrence. Now seeing him leave, these people naturally let out a sigh of relief, and began to guess his purpose. However, although their thinking is very optimistic, the 4 shadows on the other side were completely optimistic. The first is Raikage after breaking out of the siege. With his perception, naturally he immediately noticed Uchiha Madara's sudden action. At the beginning, he thought it was just a clone chasing him. But then I found something was wrong. It is impossible for the clone to have such a large-scale chakra oppression. Then, he looked over with the peripheral light of his vision. Sure enough, I found out too. The body of Uchiha Madara is flying over Susanoo. And, his goal does not seem to be chasing Raikage, but the direction of 9 tails. Aware of this, Raikage naturally had a bad feeling in his heart. He gritted his teeth abruptly and speeded up again. And at this time on the other side, on the ground, Tsunade, Onoki, and Terumi Mei were all dumbfounded and their eyes were shocked. I was thinking about joining forces to deal with the Uchiha Madara Susao clone in front of me, but as a result, the situation now appears one after another. First, chakra of 9 tails was swallowed by the gray monster. Later, because of impulse, Raikage rushed out of the Suzuo circle alone and rushed in that direction. And now, even Uchiha Madara, who has always been arrogant, rushed past. Without a doubt, the battle situation is unfolding towards an extremely unfavorable situation. Advertisement. Everyone looked at each other, there is no time to think carefully. In an instant, they each made the same decision in their hearts. That is one, join forces to break through the encirclement here and rush towards the center of another battlefield. No matter what the real purpose of the other party is. Must stop, and at this time, on the other side of the battlefield. The purple chain of the Gedo statue is being quickly recovered, accompanied by the crimson nine-tails chakra that has been completely extracted. Uchiha Sasuke stood on top of the Gedo statue, looking down below him condescendingly, his expression indifferent. Then, not only for some reason, suddenly lowered his eyes, and said to himself, "Farewell, my former, best friend." The voice did not fall. On the ground, Uzumaki Naruto's body fell vertically. In his pupils, only disbelief, horror, and deep unwillingness remained in the end. Pity, as Nine-Tails' chakra was emptied, he passed out completely. Now, not far away, Kakashi, who was fighting with Uchiha Obito, saw this picture, and his heart suddenly glared, his face suddenly changed. Naruto's Nine-Tails chakra is really pulled away. Damn it. Kakashi looked at Obito in front of him, his eyes were filled with despair and anger, the kunai in his hand was involuntarily clenched tighter, and the veins burst. If Obito hadn't been blocking him just now, maybe he still had a chance to forcibly take Naruto away. There is a charm handed over by Lord Jiraiya, which can completely suppress Naruto's riot, and then take him to escape here. And now everything is over. As we all know, once the tail beast in Jinchuriki's body is drawn, it will die. Thought of here, Kakashi's face is even more ugly. But at this moment, Obito, the masked man on the opposite side, suddenly let out a few low and gloomy laughs, and said, "Kaka West. How about witnessing the death of important people in front of you without being able to stop it?" Advertisement. Well, but this guy's body is filled with the blood of the Vortex family. Even if Nine-Tails is taken away, it won't die immediately. It's the same as the Whirlpool Kushina back then. Obito's voice fell heavily. In the white snow, it seems that many snowflakes have been shattered. This moment, Kakashi's heart was like being hit by a huge hammer, and it stopped instantly. Next moment, his pupils began to shrink in an instant, and a chill arose behind him. A terrifying guess suddenly appeared in his mind. That was about 10 years ago, a full moon night, an unprecedented disaster on Konoha village. The chaos of Nine-Tails. According to rumors, back then, a mysterious black-robed man wearing a mask appeared, first seduced fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato, and then cruelly pulled out Nine-Tails from Uzumaki Kushina's body. And, using Sharingan to control the materialized Nine-Tails, Konoha unfolded a massive 090 destruction. Finally, fourth Hokage and his wife both passed away. And resealed the runaway Nine-Tails and their children. That child, needless to say, it is naturally Uzumaki Naruto today. And the mysterious black-robed masked man has always been a mystery. Many people had guessed that they belonged to the Uchiha clan. Therefore, Uchiha began to be completely isolated by the village. But then the Uchiha clan was destroyed, there is no one to speculate. And today, after hearing what Uchiha Obito said just now, Kakashi's face instantly paled, staring into Obito's gaze, filled with incredible horror. Yes, that's right, he has completely guessed it. The Uchiha belt in front of you is most likely the black-robed man back then. The culprit of the Nine-Tails chaos. Chapter 283. 10 Tails is the real body. The Akatsuki organization that finally appears, subscription required. Advertisement. Uchiha Itachi was still young, let alone Mangekyo, and he didn't even turn on 3 Tomo Sharingan. Not to mention Uchiha Sasuke, who is still in Fujang. And Sasuke at that time, just recently born, it is even more impossible to come into contact with the mysterious man who controls Nine-Tails. But now, he was able to freely use that weird technique and directly forcibly extract the Nine-Tails from Naruto. Needless to say, I definitely learned it from Uchiha Obito or Uchiha Madara. Connect with black robe, mask, time and space ninjutsu. As well as, the words from Obito just now, no doubt. It's definitely him. Kakashi's eyes were filled with speechless sadness and anger, as well as inexplicable emotions that could not be expressed. In the end, it all turned into a decisive decision. This former close friend of classmates was actually the man behind the scenes who killed the teacher and his mother. Likewise, the creator of Uchiha's tragedy, facing such a home. Even if Kakashi has more personal affair in his heart, it will not stop his judgment. Uchiha Obito, it's an enemy that can't be cleansed. He must be defeated. Boom, at the moment when Kakashi made up his mind. Suddenly, there was a huge explosion, coming from the body of the Gedo statue above. In an instant, countless gray smoke and white snow dust mixed together, completely concealing the huge body of Gedo statue. But at the same time, its extremely powerful chakra not only hasn't weakened, but it's still climbing. Realizing this, Kakashi's face suddenly froze. Is it possible that this guy is still evolving, this moment? Kakashi suddenly remembered what Jiraiya said before leaving. Advertisement. He once said that the purpose of this mysterious organization is to collect 9-tailed beasts, but what it will do is still unknown. And now it may be the moment to show the other party's purpose. It's too late to say, then it's fast. Just as Kakashi realized that something was wrong, in the smoke, a blood-red light suddenly appeared like a brilliant fierce star. It was a scarlet eye like a blood-colored gem, and in the center of the eyes, there are 6 black go jade patterns arranged very regularly. It's a six-hook jade Sharingan, roar. The deafening roar suddenly rang out from the smoke, and in an instant, everything around it was shaken away. On the snow-capped mountains not far away, even a small avalanche occurred directly. And at this moment, the whole picture of that monster was revealed again. Today it is no longer what the Gedo statue looks like. Instead, it became a gray creeping uni-eyed creature. The huge six-go jade Sharingan occupies the center of his face, and his gray skin covers his whole body like a strong armor. And behind him, 10 tails rising up into the sky stood out. Powerful, overwhelming. The moment I saw this picture clearly. Whether it was Kakashi, Black Earth, etc. nearby, or Raikage, Tsunade, etc. who had just arrived in the distance, all froze. Their pupils shrank, and their breathing stopped in an instant. What kind of guy is this, tailed beast? Beyond 10 tails above 9 tails, aware of this. Everyone is trapped. In their memory, historically, there were only 9-tailed beasts in the ninja world. Advertisement they were once distributed in various parts of the ninja world, and they have always been the target of various strengths during the Sengoku period. But, since the rise of Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas, most of the 9 big-tailed beasts have been strongly conquered by him. Finally, at the first 5 Shadows conference, Hashirama presided over the meeting and redistributed the tail beasts to calm the ninja world. However, in the history recorded in these books. But I never mentioned the so-called 10 tails, break. The warriors of the Iron Kingdom in the distance, including the leader Mifune and others, all froze at this moment. This terrifying sense of oppression seems to originate from the soul, making it difficult for them to look directly at it. Even, it's still on top of Uchiha Madara's Susanoo. This moment, the White Iron Country was almost silent. It seems that in the entire world, people everywhere are paying attention to this unprecedented 10 tails. And just under the circumstances that no one else has noticed. Not far away, on a snow-capped mountain, a transparent enchantment stood on it, like a curtain, covering its contents. If you look at it from the front, you can only see the scenery of ordinary snow-capped mountains, and you can't notice any mystery. However, if you tear this space with a powerful force, you will find a few people hidden under the light curtain. That was the #1 ninja rebel organization in the ninja world dressed in red clouds and black robes, Akatsuki. That's right. Now, everyone of Shao, Qing Yu, Nagato, Konan, Deidara, Hoshigaki Kisame, Kakuzu, Hidan and others are hiding their dogs here. This, promise, is Bakudo No. 26 Bent Light. With the power of Kido, spiritual power is injected to distort the light of Joe's space, so that everything in the body is hidden in the air. And in fact, when Uchiha Madara and others invaded the scene of the 5 Shadows talks, they were already waiting here. Therefore, whether it was the battle of Uchiha Madara's 4 Shadows or Sasuke's Naruto here, they have been completely closed to them. Chapter 284 The New Core of Akatsuki, the moment to show off their talents, seeking subscription. Advertisement under Bent Light. The 7 of Shaoji stood on the snow-capped mountain, staring at the distant picture. Under Qing Yu's powerful Ryatsu and Kido, no one can notice them here. Even Sharingan, who has insight, can't see through Bent Light. And at the moment, Qing Yu stood at the forefront of the crowd, feeling like a leader. In fact, since the original Rain Shinobi Village defense battle, Qing Yu repelled Uchiha Obito and the White Fox Ghost with an absolute crushing attitude. They started to know Qing Yu, unconsciously, it gradually became the actual core of Akatsuki's organization. And shortly after Uchiha Itachi died, this situation has reached its peak. Even Pen, the proud leader of Shao's organization, directly announced the importance of Qing Yu to the rest of Shao's members. Later, he directly revealed his true body, Nagato, to the members. Therefore, of course Deidara and others also know. The Shao organization today actually revolves around Qing Yu. Even this time the plan is the same, but they did not accept any dissatisfaction. After all of the members of the Shao organization present had seen Qing Yu's terrifying power, and even a lot of them had been severely beaten by Qing Yu in 090. Kakuzu, on the first day of joining the Akatsuki organization, he was easily blown up by Qing Yu with 2 hearts, completely crushed. Deidara was conquered by Qing Yu's powerful artistic explosion, 91 of Hado. Senju Jiao Tian Tai Pao. Hidan, within 10 seconds of meeting, he broke the sickle and was easily killed by Qing Yu. And Kisame, in the words of Uchiha Itachi, heard all the horrible facts about Qing Yu, and he was already immersed in ultimate. Except for a few of them, naturally, the rest of Nagato and Konan need not be mentioned, they can almost be said to be witnesses of Qing Yu's journey along the way. Step by step, watch him go from being strong at the beginning to being strong to an outrageous degree. Not to mention all the things he did for Akatsuki and Rain Shinobi Village. Advertisement in at the moment, except Qing Yu. After everyone witnessed the recovery of 10 tails. All the expressions were different, and they were silent and stunned. 5 people spoke. Nagato, Aceg, and Konan have extremely complicated eyes, and an indescribable strange feeling emerges in their hearts. It turns out that this ugly guy is what Uchiha Obito calls, the ultimate weapon 10 tails. Think at the beginning, when they were bewitched by Obito and Black Zetsu. I also thought of collecting the tail beasts to create the final weapon, so as to use absolute force to dominate the whole world. But did not expect, this step was actually completed ahead of time by the kid Uchiha Sasuke. Although I don't know how his Rinnegan came, but he indeed controls the Gedo statue perfectly. I even got the master's Golem lock that Nagato doesn't have. And at this time, different from Nagato and Konan. The three Kakuzu, Hidan and Deidara on the side were full of shocks and doubts. What's the situation? Didn't Qing Yu mean to take us to perform the last big task? This, watch, what's so special? 10 tails are all out. This the fourth ninja war is about to begin like this? We Shao haven't even participated in the war yet. The trio's expressions were very puzzled. They were all ready for a big fight, but unexpectedly, they saw the show now. And on the other side, Kisame, who was standing alone, stared at the picture below, slightly stunned. Advertisement this. Infinite Tsukuyomi's medium, 10 tails has successfully recovered? Next, how to act. In fact, the reason why Kisame decided to join Akatsuki was because he saw through the falsehood and cruelty in this world. Therefore, he wants to follow the Uchiha Madara and create a real new world without any lies, that is, Infinite Tsukuyomi. This was the first time he learned about 10 tails. But then, he witnessed Qing Yu using impure world reincarnation technique to break through Uchiha Obito's disguise and lies. So he fell into confusion for a while. After that, the death of partner Uchiha Itachi on Sasuke's body made Kisame lose his sense of direction in his heart. He didn't know how to continue his journey, and at this moment, Qing Yu suddenly came up, tell him that he will reveal the truth of this world to him during this mission. So he came here with him and witnessed the simultaneous appearance of Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Obito, and a series of chaos in front of him. The strange thing is, even if 10 tails has really recovered according to Uchiha's plan, Qing Yu and Nagato in front of me, Jing Ran doesn't mean any action. And, still going to the theater? After a long silence. The impatient Deidara finally spoke, looking at Qing Yu eagerly, and said quickly. Nah, senior, it's our turn to shoot too. Look, the shadows of Gonan village are so crushed by the Uchiha Madara. Not to mention that there is an outrageous existence now, 10 tails. If we know we want to show our talents, now is the most suitable time. Chapter 285 From Villain to Hero, Shao was taken crooked by Qing Yu, seeking subscription. Advertisement. Deidara danced and said excitedly. 2 white clay spider bombs appeared in his hand, as if they were ready to explode. Since capturing one tail, he didn't participate in any tasks afterwards, and basically spent the whole day idle in Rain Shinobi village with nothing to do. It has been a long time since he has encountered such a big scene. Of course he wants to start showing his art. By the way, I can take advantage of this opportunity. Let that old Tsuchikage man take a good look at his true strength. Thought of here, Deidara was even more excited, however. After hearing this, Kakuzu beside him suddenly frowned, and said unhappily. Scream, it's so noisy, so are you in a hurry to go up and die? Uchiha Madara was the same person as first Hokage Senju Hashirama back then. Even the old Tsuchikage man can't figure it out. Do you think you can do it? As soon as Kakuzu's words fell, Deidara fried the steel pan and said angrily. To shut up, that smelly old man is already dead. As long as my final art is completed, it will only be a matter of minutes to surpass him, understand? The two people who didn't get along well all the time immediately started arguing here because of the issue of whether to make a move. It wasn't until Nagato, who was on the side, spoke, that the mediation instantly stopped. Nagato's eyes condensed slightly and said in a deep voice. Be quiet, this is not the time for you to quarrel. The plan is not that simple, listen to Qing Yu's arrangement. As soon as the voice fell, the two immediately asked themselves to be bored and stopped talking. After all, Nagato is Pen's real body, possessing all the abilities of Six Paths Pen. And Pain's strength is of course needless to say, they have seen it many times a long time ago, and it is indeed amazing. Advertisement therefore, even though Nagato's real body looks very thin, he still has the deterrent power as a leader. And until then, Qing Yu on the side turned his head when he heard the words, his eyes flicked across everyone's faces, and said with a light smile. Don't worry, if we shoot now, then we, Shao, will be Jackie Chan. Remember a sentence, heroes will only appear at critical moments. The voice fell, a bright golden color shined in Qing Yu's eyes. Subsequently, he turned his head back with a smile, continued to look forward, and stopped talking. In fact, it's really not the time yet. At present, for the 4 shadows in the major ninja villages, they have not reached the point of desperation. Even if Shao helped them, they would not feel the feeling of the rest of their lives at all, and naturally they would not be in awe and gratitude to Shao. Qing Yu can indeed come forward, and before Seeing takes action, the crisis in the ninja world will be lifted. But this way, Akatsuki still didn't have any persuasive power to rule the ninja world. Maybe it will be counterproductive, after all, there is no shortage of radicals in every shinobu village. They might even start a war against Akatsuki because they oppose Akatsuki's rule. In that way, it runs counter to Qing Yu's original intention. Therefore, they must be severely beaten before they can proceed with the plan reasonably. The darker the night, the more grateful the sun is. In other words, only the deterrence of the opposing side has reached ultimate. Akatsuki came forward, will appear more weighty. Advertisement to this end, Qing Yu has even deployed more means secretly. 0. Seeking flowers, and at the moment, after hearing Qing Yu's words, Nagato and Konan glanced at each other, and both saw a hint of dumbfounding expression in each other's eyes. I didn't expect it once Shao, who has always been playing the banner of a terrorist organization, is now completely distorted by Qing Yu. Actually became an organization that wants to be a hero. And aside, after listening to this, Deidara, Kakuzu and others were even more stunned. 0.0 What's the situation? How do I remember Akatsuki from the beginning? It doesn't seem like this. It is said that a terrorist attack will be used to deter a ninja. In the three-step plan, is there a step to save the world? But although everyone did not understand. But of course this plan will not be questioned, after all. They knew very well in their hearts that the plan this time was really aimed at creating a whole new world of ninja. At least on this point, the original intention of the Akatsuki organization is the same. Only, this time in the plan, Akatsuki, it's just a way of changing from a villain to a hero. Chapter 286 Uchiha laughs wildly, Sanji vs. Seeing, seeking subscription. Advertisement at the same time, outside of bent light. Below, above the ground covered with white snow. A black figure entwined with a blue chakra quickly came back from a distance like a swift lightning, passed through the warriors of the Iron Kingdom, and came to the center of the battlefield. It is Fourth Kazekage, however, when he came. The 10 tails ahead has completely transformed and successfully recovered. Looking at Naruto, who fainted on the ground in front, and Uchiha Sasuke, who was proud and indifferent, Kazekage immediately understood the situation and was furious. Damn it. B**********. Obviously, the opponent's tail beast draw has been completed. After all, it could not be stopped. Just as he failed to prevent Uchiha Sasuke's attack on Killer Bee, this time, he also failed to prevent 9 tails from being looted. This kind of frustration made his heart, 090, especially angry. Under the trend of anger, the lightning-style chakra all over his body broke out a stronger wave of air, blowing his clothes into a hunting noise, and his hair also showed a form of upside down. However, just when he tried to rush up to gank Uchiha Sasuke directly above, suddenly, a dark green figure stopped in front of him. It is Hitaki Kakashi. I saw at this moment. There are already a lot of bloodline on his body, and his expression is particularly dignified, and he gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice. Master Kazekage, calm down. The current situation is no longer something you can stop alone. You must gather the power of the 5 shadows to have the possibility of winning. Hearing this, Kazekage glared suddenly and felt even more upset. However, he also knew in his heart that Kakashi was just stating the facts. Since this Uchiha Sasuke can defeat Killer Bee and suppress 9 tails Jinchuriki unharmed and swallow it, his strength is obviously not weaker than cage level. And now, also add a 10 tails that surpasses 9 tails. And the guy next to him who is wearing a black robe and an orange mask, who also doesn't look weak at all. Such a lineup, to be honest, seeing the momentum they're showing now. Advertisement. Even Kazekage, who has always been arrogant, has to admit that the enemy is unprecedentedly powerful. If you add the dirty soil Uchiha Madara in the distance. So, even if it is a combination of 5 photos, you may not be absolutely sure to win. No doubt next, it must be a fierce battle involving life and death. Thought of here, boom. Kazekage raised his hand with a punch, angrily hammering on the boulder next to him. Boom. The boulder was instantly shattered by the huge impact. His anger was unabated. However, he had calmed down in his heart and began to think carefully about the way to deal with it. At the same time, after only a moment, above the sky where white snow flies. Dirty soil Uchiha Madara is driving the dark blue Susanoo here as well. After seeing the 10 tails at Sasuke's feet clearly, his eyes suddenly revealed unconcealed ecstasy. It really succeeded. Decades of planning finally revives 10 tails today. The sacred tree is back, new world is coming soon. Thought of here, Uchiha Madara directly relieved Susanoo, and after a jump, he came to the top of 10 tails, beside Uchiha Sasuke. Good job Sasuke. Uchiha Madara gave a rare approval and a pleasant smile. This Sasuke, it really deserves to be Rinnegan's awakener. If you were giving him 10 years of growth time, maybe he can really catch up with his peak strength before his death. Pity, he can't wait these 10 years. The cruel old ninja world must end today, and the arrival of the new world is unstoppable. Therefore, his sneak attack plan with Black Zetsu is still going on. And at the moment, after hearing Uchiha Madara's words, Sasuke did not respond either, his eyes still calm. To him, it is his goal to eradicate this painful world and create the peaceful new world that the body hopes for. In order to accomplish this goal, cooperating with Uchiha Madara and others is undoubtedly the fastest shortcut. Even if a certain sacrifice is required, it is also necessary. Advertisement. The reason why Itachi failed, it's because he didn't realize this. Trying to completely erase the existence of war is itself an untenable point. And Sasuke accepted Uchiha Madara's theory only through war. In order to create unprecedented peace, just as he thought. Suddenly, above 10 tails, the space was twisted like a whirlpool. Next moment, a black figure suddenly appeared on the other side of Uchiha Madara. It is Uchiha Obito wearing a mask. Although his identity has been exposed, he still wears a mask out of habit. Now, 3 Uchihas stood on top of 10 tails' heads. Behind them, it is a dark humanoid weird creature, the actor, Black Zetsu. The 4 villains have already gathered. Finally, the weapon is also ready. Next it's time to crush the ninja world, and at this moment. The other side, the 3 talents, Tsunade, Onoki, and Terumi-Mei, are late. They had to deal with the wood-style shadow clone left by Uchiha Madara, so they came a little bit slower. But it seems that because Uchiha Madara didn't care about them too much, those clones became a little easier to break through. When the 3 shadows came here, The shadow guards who had previously set out to search for information from various places also returned here one after another, standing with their respective shadows again. Guards of 4th Raikage, Darui 4.6 Yi and Shi. 5th Mizukage Terumi Mei's guard, Ao and Chojuro. Guards of 3rd Tsuchikage, Terra and Black, and the guard of 5th Hokage Tsunade, Hitaki Kakashi. This moment, the shadows and guards of the 4 ninja villages have once again stood on the united front. And their opposite, it is the huge 10 tails that exudes a sense of horror and oppression, and the Uchiha laughing 3 masters standing on top of it. Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito, Uchiha Sasuke. Chapter 287 The inferior nature of mankind breaks the pattern of the old ninja world. Seeking subscription. Advertisement snow flutters. It seems that under the bitter atmosphere, the snowflakes have become bigger. The cold wind whizzed past. Tsunade saw Naruto, who had fainted on one side in an instant, with an expression of unbearable and sad expression on his face. But in an instant, this expression disappeared from her face, replaced by an anxious and solemn expression. She instantly summoning lost a few small slugs, and then immediately let them attach to Naruto's body, trying to live his life. Then he raised his head, looked at the 3 people above, and gritted his teeth slightly. The worst situation had finally happened. Not only did they fail to stop the other party's footsteps in this 5-shadow meeting, they even let the other party be in full view, completing the plunder of 9 tails. This is undoubtedly a shame for the shadows who have the heart to destroy the enemy. However, now is not the time to consider humiliation. They must be stopped. This 10 tails, the breath radiating from the body is extremely disturbing. Not to mention the 3 people standing above. Uchiha Madara. He was the first ruthless man in the ninja world who used 9 tails to attack Konoha. Had it not been blocked by Senju Hashirama, Konoha would have been overturned. Uchiha Obito, in Jiraiya Oto's intelligence, he was the one who planned the tail beast plundering operation. Uchiha Sasuke implemented the plunder of the tail beasts, and also completed the resurrection of 10 tails by hand. Such 3 guys, no matter which one appears alone, it is already a great danger. But now, they gathered together. Everyone was silent, but the atmosphere became more solemn. Above the sky, the black cloud pressed the city to destroy it. Finally, after a while, Uchiha Madara, standing above 10 tails, spoke lightly. With an indifferent gaze, he looked down at the bottom, looking like a god, and said, "Only, the 4 shadows who fought each other to death in the past. Will you stand on the united front again? It seems." Sure enough, only when facing the threat of death can human beings temporarily let go of hatred and prejudice and achieve unity. Uchiha Madara's voice fell, echoing all around. Everyone's faces are still solemn. But no one spoke. Advertisement after all, the facts are indeed as Uchiha Madara said. If it were not for facing such a great threat, it would be impossible for the 4 shadows to sit on the same conference table, let alone fight hand in hand. However, it is a pity. Uchiha Madara's gaze had no waves, and the ancient well still spoke faintly. The inferiority of human beings cannot be changed. As long as this ninja pattern always exists, it will always bring endless wars and tragic communication. Decades ago, Hashirama made the wrong decision. Today, I, Uchiha Madara, will break this pattern. The voice fell off. Suddenly, he saw a faint flash in his eyes. Next moment, stare. But when I saw 10 tails below, it suddenly opened its huge black abyss. Immediately after, the boundless chakra is condensed like an ocean, and in just a moment, it instantly transforms into a huge dark red sphere. What? It feels like tailed beast bomb. Seeing this, the 4 shadows below suddenly shrank their pupils and their faces changed drastically. They never expected, the 10 tails in front of me, even when he came up, he zoomed in directly. And, the speed of condensing chakra is so fast. Rumble. As 10 tails tailed beast bomb condensed, the surrounding space seemed to have been affected, and there was constant shaking. This moment, everyone felt an inexplicable fear imposed on their bodies. Is this the power of 10 tails? Without time to think more, the warriors of the Iron Kingdom fled in all directions, as if fleeing from the doomsday. Of course, Seeing and the guards are also ready to take action. But at this moment, tailed beast bomb has been successfully condensed. Boom. With blood-red radiance, tailed beast bomb rushed out and slammed directly at Seeing and others. Puffing. The explosion is like a sun rising on the ground, ruthlessly destroying everything around it and blowing it into ashes. Regardless of the speed and breadth of the explosion, they far surpassed what they had seen before. Puff. Cough. Advertisement countless warriors of the Iron Kingdom who did not react, died under the scream of the tailed beast bomb. And at this time, although Seeing and the guard escaped the bombing range, they were already affected by the shockwave, and they had no choice but to disperse. Embarrassed. And at the moment, on top of 10 tails. Uchiha Madara saw this picture, but his mind was not above them. In his eyes, Seeing is no different from a child. No one would care about the existence of children. Now that 10 tails has been completed, of course he has to find a way to find a suitable time for Black Zetsu to sneak attack on Uchiha Sasuke, control his body, and complete the round revolving heaven technique. Thus, the subsequent plans can continue to progress gradually. But there seems to be something wrong now. Uchiha Sasuke didn't seem to pay attention to the 4 shadows below, but his expression was solemn and his face tense. Seems to be waiting for something in this situation. It is almost impossible for Black Zetsu to complete a sneak attack unexpectedly at 090. After all, no matter how fast Black Zetsu is, as long as it is discovered by Sasuke, he can use Shinra Tianjung to blast him directly with a single thought. Once this plan is revealed, it will be much more difficult to implement it. Not afraid of Sasuke's strength, it's because he now masters the control of 10 tails. Although I don't want to admit it, but Uchiha Madara understands that the core of today's plan is still Sasuke. Only when he relaxes, this is Black Zetsu's excellent mobile phone meeting. However, Madara, who planned so in her heart, didn't know. At this moment, in Sasuke's mind on the side, a familiar and unfamiliar voice suddenly came. Therefore, only then will he keep his nerves tense and stand ready. Because of this sound, it was the man who broke his Kusunaru sword and opened his Rinnegan path. Chapter 288 Qing Yu's Advice, 2 Pillars of Team Tool People, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement. The cold current is surging. Sasuke's eyes were extremely solemn, perceiving everything around him. And in his mind, the voice of the familiar and unfamiliar man suddenly came. Although there were only 4 words, Sasuke shuddered. Beware of sneak attacks, such short 4 words. But it seemed to be filled with a certain dangerous atmosphere. It made Sasuke want to find Qing Yu's position even more. From snow mountain to field, earth to sky, his gaze passed vaguely from all directions, but he still couldn't find any trace. After a while, he withdrew his gaze. However, the vigilance in my heart did not relax in the slightest, still paying close attention to everything around me. Shout. Is this the hard-turning technique of the Yamanaka clan? Did not expect, that man actually knows this secret technique. Sasuke's eyes were solemn, thinking in his heart. In fact, up until now, he doesn't know much about the man named Qing Yu. Between the two of them, they actually only met 2 sides in total. The first time, it was during Konoha's Chunin exam. In order to help Uzumaki Naruto figure out the reality of his life experience, he chose to attack Qing Yu with Naruto. Unexpectedly, a calm Muji ninjutsu by the other party directly ended on the spot and was hospitalized for several days. After that, he was taken away by Orochimaru, and the next time I meet again. It is now 3 years later. That is some time ago. Orochimaru, who had disappeared for a long time, suddenly returned to the base, and the person following him was Qing Yu. Then, Sasuke thinks that his strength has improved by leaps and bounds. So he used the new technique he developed, the Thousand Bird Blade, to make a surprise blow to Qing Yu. But unexpectedly, not to mention that his blade hurt Qing Yu, it didn't even bring him any threat. In the end, he broke it easily with a finger, and his Sharingan illusion. It couldn't even interfere with Qing Yu's golden pupils. Advertisement. Until then, Sasuke came to understand. There is still a big gap between his own strength and that Qing Yu. And that kind of gap is not at all a degree that can be made up for in a short period of training. Therefore, Sasuke thought carefully. He accepted Qing Yu's strengthening suggestion, discussion. Under Orochimaru's surgical operation, cells of first Hokage Senju Hashirama, known as the God of Ninjas, were transplanted. Only then did he obtain the current super god pupil technique Rinnegan. Then, only now has all of this. To be honest, naturally, Sasuke often has an inexplicable weird feeling. That is, since I met Qing Yu, all of my own plans seem to suddenly start to become exceptionally smooth. First, the duel with Uchiha Itachi. Because of the existence of Rinnegan, he can directly ignore Uchiha Itachi's best illusion, and through Rinnegan's hungry Kido sealing ability, he can also directly crack most of the ninjutsu. As a result, he won an absolute victory, and later, after learning the truth about Itachi's defection, he directly joined the Uchiha Madara group, and learned from him the engraving of the summoning Gedo statue, and the crucial lock of the golem. Of course Sasuke understands. What Uchiha Madara values is not Sasuke himself, but his eyes. That's right. In fact, from the first time he saw Uchiha Madara, he noticed a weirdness in the other person's eyes. Obviously, whether it is Madara or Black Zetsu, they have paid too much attention to his pair of Rinnegan. After that, when he asked Uchiha Madara why he didn't control the Gedo statue by himself, he was able to confirm it thoroughly. It's not that the other party doesn't want to, but can't. Although the power of Gedo statue is extremely domineering, it is also the body of 10 tails, but only Rinnegan can establish contact with it. In addition, even the awesome Mangekyo Sharingan can't do it. Therefore, Sasuke quickly understood his position in this gang. Toolman. No doubt, advertisement. Whether it is Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito, or even the Black Zetsu, they are using his Rinnegan power to plan. Including the manufacture of so-called tail beast weapons, he is an indispensable core. After understanding this, it is naturally impossible for Sasuke to have much trust in these people. But, of course, he wouldn't break with them or deviate from them. Because, he also wants to use them in reverse. Not to mention Obito and Black Zetsu, just say it is Uchiha Madara of Impure World Reincarnation, it is already an unparalleled combat power. No matter what the real purpose of the other party is. At least in breaking the old pattern of ninja, they have exactly the same goal. Therefore, while Sasuke is collecting the tail beasts, he has actually been paying attention to their every move all the time. Original, at this point in the recovery of 10 tails. When I saw that Uchiha Madara and others did not have any special actions, the vigilance in Sasuke's heart is relaxed a little. But unexpectedly, at this moment, I heard Qing Yu's voice transmission again. ***. Beware of sneak attacks. This sentence, what does it mean? Do you want me to be careful not to be attacked by others? So, Who is the one who will sneak attack? Uchiha Madara. Not too possible. With his arrogant character, he would definitely disdain to attack a junior by himself. Then, the most likely ones are on the side. No promise. Uchiha Obito and Black Zetsu. Sasuke's gaze crossed the two faces without leaving a trace, and then quickly retracted. Truth be told, at this time, he couldn't imagine how he would be attacked. After all, now he is controlling the Gedo statue. Even if he faces the 5 shadows alone, he will not be embarrassed. Not to mention them, could it be that they could still dig Rinnegan away forcibly? Chapter 289 Unexpected Sneak Attack. Round Revolving Heaven, seeking subscription? Advertisement. But, although thinking so in my heart, Sasuke didn't completely let go of the guard in his heart. Joke, this is Qing Yu's biography. That guy has always looked like an exhaustive plan. Since he even said so, things must be awkward. Thought of here, Sasuke's eyes closed back. Subsequently, he looked at Uchiha Obito on the side. After all, compared to the Black Zetsu, who has always cowered and confused, Obito made him more wary. Before, when they caught all the tail beasts together, Sasuke has seen Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan's power countless times. Its name is Kamui, possessed the powerful ability to open the space. With this ability, Obito has developed 2 tactics of going for life and sneak attack. It can be said that they have developed ultimate. Even Jinchuriki, the tailed beasts who have experienced many battles, are caught off guard when they are attacked by Obito's Kamui. Therefore, Sasuke reasonably speculates if one of them is responsible for the sneak attack, then the most likely one is Obito. Thought of here, Sasuke's attention is mostly on Obito's body at 090. At the same time, the other side, Obito, who has always been cautious, couldn't fail to notice the strangeness in Sasuke's eyes. But his attention was all on 10 tails and the 4 shadows below, and he didn't pay much attention to Sasuke's gaze. Everything seems to be business as usual. Bai Shui flew by. 10 tails attacks still bombarded the surviving ninjas below indiscriminately. But at this moment, suddenly, a change that no one thought of happened suddenly. Puff, blood splashes, red snowflakes, advertisement. I don't know when, Black Zetsu, who has always been hiding from the side, is already standing behind Sasuke. And his dark arm has already penetrated Sasuke's body. Aware of this, Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly and froze. What's going on? The person who is going to attack me is not Uchiha Obito, but Black Zetsu. While realizing this, a trace of bright red blood spilled from the corner of Sasuke's mouth. And when he looked aside, but see, Uchiha Madara's expression remained as usual, without any turbulence. Obviously, he was fully aware of Black Zetsu's actions, and it could even be said that he was instructed. The opposite is Uchiha Obito on one side. From his suddenly startled gaze, he was obviously stunned, and he didn't expect things to go this way. What's the situation? However, at this moment, the 4 shadows below were more shocked than he felt. Almost everyone, without exception, had their pupils tightened and froze stiffly, completely unbelievable. What's going on? As the man behind the scenes, Uchiha Sasuke was stabbed in the back. Is it that black guy? Their brains are almost completely blank, and they don't know why things suddenly take a turn for the worse. The enemy Uchiha Sasuke they were still trying to target just now was sneak attacked by their own people? Now, Raikajai's eyes were even more shocked. He was still thinking about it. He must rush to 10 Tails, kill Uchiha Sasuke, and avenge Killer B. But I couldn't think of it anyway. Just when this idea came out, Sasuke went wrong. Tsunade and Kaka, ACEG, on the side looked at each other, and both saw a trace of hell look in each other's eyes. However, advertisement at this moment, under the bombardment of 10 Tails. They don't have time to figure out what happened, they can only avoid the attack while watching the situation. And at the moment, on top of 10 Tails, the severe pain didn't immediately make Sasuke lose his mind. His face was ugly, but he still clenched his teeth, trying to use his Rinnegan to send out the Shinra Tianjung to shake the Black Zetsu behind him directly. However, the moment he tried to mobilize chakra, suddenly, an extremely strange feeling suddenly rushed to my heart, and then immediately spread all over the body. When he realized something was wrong, it was already too late. His body, at this moment, it seems to be out of control. Although he wanted to activate Rinnegan, he could not mobilize a trace of chakra. And next, Black Zetsu's body is like a puddle of liquid, instantly blending with his body. Turned into a black and white look. Next moment, he involuntarily raised his hands and made a mark very slowly. Sasuke's pupils are still tightening, trying his best to try to prevent this from happening, but still to no avail. Then, under everyone's eyes, Black Zetsu controlled Sasuke's body and slowly uttered a few words. Round Revolving Heaven technique. Stare. The moment the voice fell, a white light came from above his body suddenly, covering everything around him. At the same time, Uchiha Madara, the filthy earth with an indifferent expression on the side, also glowed with a bright white light. Obviously, he is the target of Black Zetsu's spell. Seeing this picture, Sasuke finally understood original. This is the real sneak attack in Qing Yu's mouth. Together, Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu resurrect him by manipulating his body to release the Revolving Heaven technique. This is that why he values Rinnegan? Chapter 290 for this body, complete the last part, subscription required. Advertisement however, although Sasuke has realized this, but he couldn't resist anymore. The surgery has been completed. Due to the effect of revolving heaven, his life force is rapidly losing. Instead, it was the invasion of death, and until the consciousness completely dissipated, Sasuke's mind still recalled the words that Qing Yu had sent not long ago. Beware of sneak attacks. After a while, the dazzling white light gradually dissipated. Uchiha Sasuke's body had fallen down and died completely with the loss of vitality. And ahead, Uchiha Madara's body has undergone countless transformations. The filthy soil on the body had already completely peeled off, turned into flying dust, and disappeared into the air. Instead, it was a brand new body. Seeing this picture, this moment, the four shadows and others below were all shocked and suddenly realized. They finally understood the purpose of the sneak attack just now. Dirty Uchiha Madara, want to be born again, then. Let the black guy control Sasuke's body, and at the cost of his life, he unleashed the technique called round revolving heaven. In this way, Madara can escape from the state of impure world reincarnation and be completely resurrected. Unimaginable could it be that has Uchiha Sasuke been selected from the beginning? Thought of here, the four shadows below suddenly became serious. If Uchiha Madara's plan has reached this point. So next, it is likely that there is still a more severe situation waiting for them. However, just as they thought of this, on top of 10 tails. Then Uchiha Madara's deep voice came out again, ah. Advertisement. He slowly raised his right hand, shook it lightly, and muttered to himself like a low smile. Finally I can fight well. Sure enough, this body is more decent. The voice hasn't fallen. Suddenly, the pupils in his eyes began to peel off, and finally, they turned into nothingness. But, however, he did not panic at all, but turned his head directly towards the direction of Black Zetsu and said, "Come on, Black Zetsu, for this brand new body, make up the last part." The voice fell. Black Zetsu here suddenly made a hoarse low voice and laughed. Understood, Lord Madara. The voice fell when he stood up again. What he held in his hand was a pair of lavender pupils. Rinnegan. Yes, after controlling Sasuke to complete the round of revolving heaven, Black Zetsu took off his pair of eyes for the first time. This is also part of their plan, however. Obito on the side saw this picture, but still froze. To be honest, he didn't expect it at all. These two guys have already thought about the plan to this step behind his back. After meeting Sasuke who owns Rinnegan, Obito thought there was no need to resurrect Uchiha Madara. After all, the reason why he wanted to resurrect Uchiha Madara was because Nagato was not good enough to play the best role of Rinnegan. But now, Sasuke has clearly completed everything successfully. But did not expect, Madara and Black Zetsu still took action. When he was stunned, Madara has already taken those two eyes from Black Zetsu's hands. Subsequently, raise your hand, easily transplant it into your own eyes. This operation was very proficient. Obviously, this is a heavyweight eye transplant expert. And the next moment, advertisement when his eyes opened again, a few drops of blood slid down, and the lavender pupils were shining. Rinnegan, the official transplantation is complete. After seeing this picture, the four shadows below all froze. Originally they thought, the main purpose of Uchiha Madara is to use Sasuke to complete rebirth. 0. Seeking flowers, but did not expect, the idea of hitting his eyes unexpectedly. Are there any secrets hidden in those eyes? Everyone guessed, Kakashi's eyes were particularly solemn. Others may not know, but he had fought against Sasuke briefly not long ago, so he knew that his eyes were absolutely different from ordinary Sharingan. They were very powerful. That power named Shenluo Tianzheng should be one of the pupil techniques of this kind of eye. However, just when everyone in the four shadows below was speculating. What they don't know is, on the snow mountain, within the enchantment of bent light. Everyone in Akatsuki's organization was dumbfounded after seeing this picture clearly. Different from the ninjas below, they know Rinnegan's awesomeness without a doubt. Kun missing. The thin Nagato is because of a Rinnegan. He has an overwhelming strength like all the members. In the entire Shao organization, apart from Qing Yu, almost no one can be tough with him. And now, Uchiha Madara, who is already terrifying in strength, cooperates with Rinnegan that is just like a tiger. Aware of this, even Nagato's expression became extremely solemn. Although he has owned Rinnegan for many years, it is the first time he has faced an enemy who also owns Rinnegan, and he is still at the level of Uchiha Madara. The situation is not quite right. There is always a not so good premonition.